Hey everybody, Kevin Harn and Ryan Hoke with you. Hope you're having a great day. We are in an alert day here through 10 o'clock this evening. We are tracking some of these downpours. Welcome into the stream. We've got folks just now jumping onto the news apps, seeing some reports of high water coming in from Salem, Indiana. That
wow.
Now, you'll see Wavy grab that in just a second.
Yeah, 4+ inches of rain in Du Bois County. One of those personal weather stations there has recorded at least 4.11 inches in the Jasper area. Ferdinand reporting 4.03. This may very well go down as a flooding event for us. We really haven't had damage reports within our counties of note at this time.
Yeah, thankfully, right? I mean, who's weather fatigued out of the last few weeks? Geez.
Me.
Well, it really hasn't been 2 weeks, right? I mean,
It's been like a week and some change.
A couple of days.
Yeah.
The first one was, just midweek. So, it's just been one after another. I wasn't in town for the last one, but I was trying to pitch in from out of town.
Which was very much appreciated.
Wild enough, but, we are watching these storms. I want to punch up Corey Trent. Let me just say thank you to Corey. He's a local storm chaser. We've known each other a little while, and he's always got his camera rolling and says, hey, if you need to take some shots from us while we're out in it, have at it. So this is down in Elizabethtown near Rhineyville, so you're not too far from Rhineyville. Heavy rain, haven't seen any damage, but there have been pockets of wind that we've been tracking. So we'll keep an eye on Corey as we roll through. We're in communication here. Let me see. Yeah. So last check was near Rhineyville, and that was just a couple minutes ago. So.
Yeah, thanks to Corey for his efforts there. And
that was helpful the other night, too.
It was. We were able to see.
Dark is tough.
We saw like a boxy lowering on one of his live streams at one point there. So it was helpful to know that, wasn't really on the ground at that time, but it certainly had that tornado potential when we were tracking it there.
Yeah, the weather app just now receiving the push alert to say, hey, jump into the live stream. The guys are on. So here we are. We'll be on for the next, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, however long it takes. We're rolling through these storms. We do have a couple of severe storms that have been on the radar. We've been tracking them, but no damage with that. And as we pointed out, that's some good news. So let us just go through what we know at this point. We know we've been sort of outlooked most of the area in a slight risk. And we said for our own sort of standards, we put the alert day out through 10 o'clock. By then, the strongest of the storms will be past.
Yeah, and then it transitions to mainly a flooding event here, and I don't think the flooding rises to the occasion to keep the alert day going for the overnight. However, turn around, don't drown. If you have to be driving during the overnight period here, we could see some of that additional flooding. That slight risk of severe weather, of course, that continues here, but I think the functionality of our severe weather is pretty much, for the most part, over. It's all about flooding here, but until we got to about this point tonight, we were watching the little bits of rotation in these storms. There wasn't a whole lot of wind energy, but the wind shear directionally was such that we did have rotation on radar.
Yeah, we did, and we keep watching those little pockets. There's more than one at times. Yes. You can see the heavy rain. Again, this is down in Rhineyville area, Hardin County. Looks like we're back on 31E, so keeping an eye on Corey Trent and what's happening there. As far as what's to come for us, we're going to notice that flooding threat, but let's go through the ingredients that we have and why the severe weather threat is diminishing. First of all, we're in the 70s, so we've still been running below average, even though you probably felt the difference today. It was certainly a more sticky day outside, right? It's like, whoa, this is that we always call it air you can wear.
Yeah, and that's the fuel for the flooding here. Dew point's in the 70s. Dew point is 72 in Louisville. Fort Knox is trying to report a dew point of 75. Like, holy cow.
That's up there.
Yeah, this
Juicy.
is tropical, juicy Florida type air that's over us now. So anything that gets going storm-wise can put down a tremendous amount of rain without even the radar appearance looking all that impressive here, because the atmosphere is just so saturated and tropical.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because it's that moisture that gives us the fuel for the thunderstorms, but we have to have a lot more ingredients than just one or two in most instances to see the threat of severe weather materialize. You look at the winds. There's just not a lot of wind out there. I mean, we don't even have gusts over 10 miles an hour at this point, at least at any of the anemometers that are reading.
And remember, the last two severe weather events, we had wind damage happening before the storms even arrived. So this is a different thing, way out of the league of what we've seen.
Yeah, no question. So we can't even compare it to the other two. We do see the threat because of the repetitive rain that we've had over the last week plus, and the heavy downpours and the sort of the amount of moisture, the precipitable water values that we have in the atmosphere could give us some flooding. And that's the reason the National Weather Service has placed us all under a flood watch until Sunday. So we could see some pretty intense rain, and we're seeing that in some places. In fact, down in E-Town, which we keep going back to, but you can see just the sort of darkness of the sky, but the heavy rain that's falling. I mean, what were the PWATs? The
2.2, 2.3 is what I was tracking earlier on the SPC mesoanalysis page, and that is a huge amount of moisture in the atmosphere.
Let's take a look at the radar. We'll point out that we still have the one lone severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be across parts of Meade County that sneaks into the extreme southern part of Harrison County. So severe thunderstorm warning. That's not going to last much longer. It's just about out of there.
I think it's 4 minutes left on that.
Yeah, until 8:15. And then you can see the flash flood warnings that have come across Jasper, parts of Orange County, Crawford County, and into even Perry County. And we knew that was going to be the case with this round of rain because it had so much moisture with it. But you can already see it's already starting to diminish even as it moves into the Louisville area. Going to get rain, yes, but will we get the heaviest of rain? No. Will we get severe weather? Unlikely.
Something I've just noticed here is the rain is now falling at the radar site in West Point, Kentucky, extreme southwest Jefferson County there. If you see the very end of the radar loop, you'll see almost like a little flicker of all the radar echoes around it there. It is actually disturbing the radar site. And you see, of course, a MPing report from Owensboro. Lots of flooding reports from the Owensboro area tonight.
Yeah, we even had some vehicles stranded out there earlier, and this is now you're seeing some yard, cropland, and basement flooding. Boy, it's something you never want to see. I hate flooding.
Flooding
It gets into everything.
is terrible, right? The recovery is always really tough with that because of mold, and mold is no fun.
No. All right. We were watching this. This is about an hour old now, and I was kind of putting our show together. When Ryan was doing the 7 o'clock show, look, there's another one, Owensboro, same report. They had outlined us for the Storm Prediction Center to say, hey, we're watching this area, which was all of our area, saying there's about a 40% chance we're going to issue a watch, but it's still questionable. What you're going to have to watch for in this in terms of severe would have been some strong winds and the potential for a brief tornado or two. And obviously that was because we had that rotation. So let's dive back into the radar and some of the ingredients that we have just to see where that greatest threat would be. First of all, we look for the energy. This is what we call CAPE. It's convective available potential energy. We have to have this for storms to really get intense. And you'll notice, I'll go back one. You'll notice that there's just not a lot over top of us. There's not a lot of CAPE or energy. Most of that is to our south, where even then it's marginal.
And you can see the difference in CAPE, those darker values to the east of 65 versus the more yellow, brighter values to the west. What's happening there is we had that rain earlier today, and that decreased the amount of instability in the atmosphere, made the atmosphere stable. So these storms are running into that former stable air from this morning and early this afternoon here, and that's partially why they're falling apart right over Louisville.
Yeah, and another reason why we had the slightly higher CAPE to our south is we did have a few breaks in the clouds. So not only did they have that morning sort of round of rain linger, but we wound up seeing the clouds break up just a bit for a few peaks of sunshine this afternoon. Wasn't a ton, thankfully, but it was enough to allow at least a little bit of energy. When you look at the significant tornado parameter, it's pretty much non-existent at this point. There was a little bit more back to our west a couple of hours ago, but at this point, it's fading fast. So when you look at that combined with where we have the radar echoes, yes, we're still moving in. There are pockets of wind within those embedded lines, but we're not even talking severe at this point. I mean, the bulk of the severe chance is about to come to an end, and this is turning into a rainmaker on top of what may rain later on tonight and tomorrow, and if we see any on Sunday. And that's why the flooding threat will take the greatest potential. Does that mean there's no severe weather threat tomorrow? No, there's a small chance that we could have another rogue thunderstorm or two that pop up and become severe, just like we've had today. But when you compare it to what we saw Sunday into Monday or last Wednesday into Thursday, nothing like that.
And the reason we haven't had much severe weather today is not only, of course, that instability we were talking about being just not quite all the way there, but of course the wind energy too. You'll see the severe thunderstorm warning has now faded off the map there. So no severe warnings at this time, but the flooding continues, and it's still raining in Jasper right now. Jasper has had a tremendous amount of rainfall. You folks need to be on guard for flooding from Jasper to English to areas of northern Perry County to Corydon to Palmyra. This is kind of the zone that's still seeing rain after seeing a tremendous amount a little earlier this evening. That's why we're a little bit concerned for flash flooding there. You see Jasper 2.76, but some weather stations over 4, kind of between where those reporting stations are there on the map.
Yeah, and a lot of over 1 inch total. Sorry, I pushed my mic back so I could work the computer. Evansville over 1 inch and almost 3/4, half-inch Hardinsburg. So a lot of rain coming in a short period of time. Now, those yellow colors indicate up to 2. You start to get into those orangish colors, that's 3 or 4. So we don't have gauges in every spot. So look at the colors and look at those closely, because that's where we really see where we've had some of the heavier downpours. I'll zoom in. You can see. Even a little bit of red showing up.
That would be 6+ Leavenworth. Holy
yeah!
Cow. Now that's a Doppler
radar indicated
estimate there, as Kevin was talking about. So that may not be entirely accurate, but the oranges near Jasper certainly are accurate. We know that.
Yeah, and you can see they're issuing flood advisories for Harrison and Washington counties. Again, same system, a lot of precipitation coming through. So that's where we're looking at for the rainfall total. We look at the velocities. This gives us not only an indication where we have the greatest rotation potential, but also the greatest just straight line push of winds or microbursts if we were to see those. You can pick those signatures out on the radar. Let's just zoom in a little bit, and I'll toggle between the radar. Again, it's important to line the radar up. So I'm just going to sort of color in this zone here. That's the leading edge. That's where we have a little bit of bowing that shows up. That's where we would expect, based on looking at the reflectivity, that we may have a little bit of wind. And when we put on the velocity, you can see it is in that same general area. So that's what we would say is confirmation that along this little line there, a little bowing area, we could have some pockets of stronger wind. Now, severe? No, probably not. But 25 to 40 miles an hour, possible.
That's going to be about it. They're not even really issuing, special weather statements for these. That's how much of a lack of reports we've had of damage from these storms and a lack of wind that we have here at the low levels of the atmosphere. I'll tell you what, these storms a little earlier, if we had better wind energy and better CAPE in the low levels of the atmosphere, they would have been rocking it through this area with lots of severe weather reports, trees down, etc. But because we just don't have that, those two elements really, this is just a bunch of rain, and the rain in and of itself is dangerous enough. So we're still on guard for this here, but the severe weather aspect of this certainly coming to a close very quickly here. We've got Haley, by the way. She's in Corydon, saying it's absolutely pouring in Corydon right now.
Yeah, we could probably fish that up on the SkyTrack camera too. But we see the rain on the radar certainly over Corydon. We see it moving into Jefferson County too. So anywhere between Palmyra to New Salisbury, stretching down to Valley Station, big wall of water coming our way. So we are going to have some heavy rain. You can see the flood warnings that they have out. They stretch from western parts of Indiana all the way up to the Louisville area, and then additional severe thunderstorm warnings back out to the west of us, which you'll note in the severe thunderstorm box.
Yeah, and those severe thunderstorm warnings go all the way to northern Oklahoma there. You see they're having a little mini severe weather event just north of Oklahoma City there this evening. One severe thunderstorm warning outside of the watch box there in the Texas Panhandle. But this is, kind of the era here in June for high plains severe weather. We're talking primarily Colorado and north, not necessarily like Oklahoma City. No, their severe weather season typically shuts down in late May. So this is a little bit abnormal. This has been such an abnormal pattern for us, too, to see so much severe weather. I think I ran a hokey weather fact yesterday that said June has the fourth most, tornado warnings of any month of the year on average, going back to 1986. This year, June has had the most tornado warnings in the NWS Louisville area of any month of the year so far.
Well, we were looking at this earlier in the week, and there's been one county in our whole region that hasn't had a tornado warning this year. And that's right in the middle of it all, which
Floyd
I thought
County.
was hilarious. That was Floyd County.
Isn't that amazing? They just
Crazy.
happened to miss it. So every county except Floyd has had at least a little chunk of the county under some sort of tornado warning. But Floyd County, you guys have been immune for some reason. Keep rubbing that lucky rabbit's foot, please.
I'm headed across the river to the sunny side.
The property values have skyrocketed.
Hey, notice I wanted to point out, since I have the radar on out west, these storms are very different than what we're dealing with here. These are individual cells that are producing severe weather, likely some large hail and potential for wind. But for us, it's very different. It's far more muddy, as we'd say, on the radar. It's surrounded by more rain than anything, and the threat of severe weather is collapsing fast. We just didn't have enough instability, and that was expected. We said that yesterday when we were even walking through the forecast for today, that the morning round of rain, if it lingered with clouds or rainfall, would dampen or suppress the severe weather chances for this evening. Now, it didn't take it completely away. We obviously had a few severe thunderstorm warnings. We've not seen any damage out of that, thankfully. But that was the scenario. So our alert day is in place for the few warnings that we've had and for the flooding potential that we will contend with through this round and then the round early tomorrow morning. And then after that, we'll fade away. So we'll let this alert day collapse at 10 p.m. tonight. And hopefully anything over the weekend is just minor and an inconvenience rather than anything too severe. I think we all ready for a little bit of a break.
I think we're hoping that our next alert day is for something heat related and not for storm
or
related.
Snow.
Right?
I don't even care at this point. That might be the first time you ever heard me say that.
Wow.
I'm not a fan of winter weather.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Brian.
I couldn't tell.
That's Brian's department. And I typically don't mind severe weather, but we've had enough of it.
It's the overnights that really get you when that kind of thing happens.
No, I mean, we've spent so much time here in June. Back to Corey Trent, who's down in Hardin County. This is not far from Rineyville, not too far from E-Town, but you can see it's just pouring rain down that way. So we continue to just track what's going on. Always appreciate the live images coming in. As far as any severe weather is concerned, the Storm Prediction Center did have us in that slight risk of severe weather. That not only arced into the Louisville area, but all the way back out to where you see some of those individual cells that we mentioned across Missouri and down into Oklahoma. Again, that's away from us and our threat ending because of the stability that we have in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So when you see these scary looking tornado outlooks on social media from different, AI generated sources here, always keep in mind that the day of instability, where's the rain, where's the cloud cover, that is more important than anything. These outlooks are fantastic to help us in planning for the long term. But really the day of, you've got to track things on the radar, the satellite, the surface observations. And that's the reason why today wasn't this, tornado miniature outbreak that some folks were a little concerned about west and northwest of Louisville here. This has been mainly just rain and some severe thunderstorm warnings that didn't produce any damage. All right. So when you're seeing those kinds of scary things on social media, just take a deep breath and go, okay, we have to look at this more so than just a scary looking map that I'm seeing here on my screen. There's a lot more meteorology behind that than just a polygon.
I'm going to zoom into the radar. Could have some strong winds pushing through parts of southwest Jefferson County. So that would be one area that we see just a little bit of wind moving through Sugar Grove, Valley Station, Prairie Village. In fact, Donna's saying, hey, we just had an insane push of wind bursts go through. Was scared.
So scared
about that. Well, better a little push of wind than a tornado, right? Which is what we've been used to. So I thought I'd point that out just on the radar. There is a little push of wind through there, but it's fairly localized. That's moving toward PRP. We'll catch up to that on the wind anemometer as it gets closer to the airport there. Right now, winds, what does that say, 6 miles an hour?
Something like that.
week.
No gust. Yeah, we've seen like no reports of wind gust. Usually we get some sort of report of something, like 25, 30, but nothing at this point. So it's like super calm in the low levels of the atmosphere when it comes to our wind energy here. So all of what you're seeing is mostly staying aloft right now.
Yeah, and if we were to mix any of that down with even some of the heavier downpours, it would be along, say, 150 Palmyra, working your way toward Greenville, pushing over toward Georgetown, eventually New Albany. So we could wind up seeing just a few pushes of wind, gusts of wind. This wouldn't be anything too crazy. It really is mainly a flooding deal. Put the radar back on and you can see some of the heavier pockets of rain. And you can also see those flash flood warnings that we have stretching across Perry, Crawford counties.
Yeah, 25,000 people roughly under that warning there that you saw. So, turn around, don't drown. The flooding part is sometimes the deadliest, the most dangerous. We don't cover it like a tornado warning, wall to wall, nonstop breathless coverage because
we hope some people have some common sense.
We do.
And you can see it.
And it's such a long-term thing. It takes a long time, even though it's flash flooding, it can take a couple hours for it to really crest and to really get to a point where you have a problem. So just respect the water, all right? Don't drive into water you definitely don't know the depth of. It is a bad idea.
Well,
left, right, and center.
We have had to jump on TV to cover flooding before, but mainly for the metro when we had unexpected, just high water cars floating.
Or a Lanesville situation. That's when we would go on TV for flooding. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Something where it's just really more of a flood emergency than just a flash flood warning. So many of those happen along the basins, the creeks, the rivers, the streams, the ditches and culverts. And it's like, it's going to come up. It's going to go right back down. Just stay away from it and don't drive through it. But yeah, you get caught off guard where that water is rising fast, especially in a concrete jungle, meaning the cities. That can cause some problems pretty quickly.
Yeah, urban flash flooding is the real deal. We saw that back in 2009 here in Louisville, and we've seen it many times since then in lesser forms.
All right, well, let's just walk through the Futurecast. You can see from this point forward, everything just kind of collapses. We still see some rain moving in overnight, though, and some of that, again, on top of what we've already had. Some areas, 1, 2, 3 inches. You tack on another 1 to 2 inches. You're seeing some potential for flooding in a short period of time. But again, most of this is going to be in and out. You can see even for Saturday, we get more scattered storms in the afternoon.
Yeah, and there's some question as to where that little band of scattered storms is going to set up. This particular run here, this is the 18Z HRRR model, tries to take it right along 64. Earlier data today had that north of like Salem or Seymour. So Saturday is not a washout. It will be storming in the morning, but by the time we reach noontime, we should have some dry time, and then we'll have to see where that little band of those scattered downpours sets up. Hopefully it won't be as widespread as what you see here on the model data. And it may very well not be, because we'll have storms rolling through Tennessee, clouds around here. Hopefully that limits the instability. Some additional downpours are possible Saturday night, Sunday morning, as this front kind of curves into a warm front and starts to move toward the north and east. So that Saturday severe weather risk is pretty low because of this.
Yeah, not zero, but low. Probably a little less than even what we've seen today, which
I would say
much weaker than what we had the past couple of days. Back to the radar we go, just because we do have some of the gusty winds moving into southwest Jefferson County. And I'll put that back on as we zoom into the metro. And again, it's southwest Jefferson where we have some of those winds. We pointed out not far from PRP, and you see it. It's moving right into Shively. This is probably, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust possibly coming in. So I'm going to put that on there. Let's check the reflectivity. Yep. So we've got that. That can pull that wind down. So that's an area that we'll watch. That's an area that has some gusty winds with it, no doubt.
Yeah.
So if you're in PRP, Shively, Iroquois Park, you're not only seeing some heavy rain, but you have the potential to have the strongest winds that we have here in Louisville.
And we can query some of those winds too and show you what the radar is seeing here. And this is going to be what looks like 47 miles per hour. Kevin, you nailed it right there. 55 miles per hour. This may not be making it to the ground, but we are pretty close to the radar site here. So just a few hundred feet off the ground, the radar says, hey, 55 mile per hour wind. So stronger storm trying to move through Dixie Highway there.
Yeah, we'll just watch this area just because this is the core of the population. It is, if anybody's in this area, if you have any trees, with limbs that have been blown down or whatever, let us know. We'll keep this up. Let's see if we can take a few questions.
Yeah, a lot of comments.
Or reports or comments.
We're here
for it all.
Big Dog on YouTube
Here's
says, About a week ago, when we had the round of storms that knocked out power, a tree fell on my ex-wife's car and absolutely crushed it. Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Woo, that is no fun. Gene's on here on Facebook this evening. Thanks for sharing this information with us. We appreciate you being on here. Courtney is asking, why were they saying on Facebook there was rotation north of Hardinsburg that was unwarned? So essentially, there was a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. There was a little bit of rotation. It was probably not going to reach the ground. So it did not need a tornado warning because the environment is just not conducive for that rotation to reach the ground. We didn't have enough energy in the atmosphere, the Cape. We didn't have enough low-level wind shear here. So if you saw that, that's why meteorologists at the National Weather Service and here at WAVE were tracking that very closely. We did not see anything that merited a tornado warning at that time. So that's some good news there. What else do we have in our comments section here? A lot of...
They're getting ready to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for the Louisville metro area.
Here we go. Okay.
So we're going to have this come out from the Weather Service. You'll see it pop on the screen here.
Good to the last drop. This will probably be one of the last warnings we see of the evening here with this burst moving through Shively, PRP, now approaching the Waterston Expressway there, Georgia Powers, etc.
So this is why we were watching this little core, and you saw Dawn, I think was the name in the chat, point out that, hey, boy, what a wind gust that just came through Valley Station.
Yeah.
And now we have that actually, we've been watching it on the radar. It's at the minimum of being issued, but it is there. And that's why we kept the velocity on here. We'll see this as it moves closer to the downtown area because the core of it is lifting up. So there you have it. This is the severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County. This will go until 9 o'clock tonight. Wavy's on it. This is radar indicated. This even crosses over into Jeff. So for folks that are in New Albany, Louisville, even the downtown area, this is a push of wind that will come in to the area. At this point, our wind gusts are fairly minor, but in the core of this where we have, and I'll put the velocity back on because that shows it the best. And you can see they're canceling the flood advisory. Here comes the velocity. And with that, let me see if I can just pop the lightning on too. See how much lightning we have with this dude.
Not a lot.
Yeah, not a ton.
It's
really displaced back to the west.
Yeah.
And then let's zoom in. Because it really is that pocket, which frankly weakened by the time they issued the warning. So
that's how things work sometimes, unfortunately.
So Shively, Iroquois Park, same places we've been pointing out. This is going to lift up toward Germantown, Louisville, Shawnee. That's where we're seeing the greatest wind.
972,000 people entered this warning right now. So boy, they've really, cut right through the center of population here within our viewing area. New flash flood warning, by the way, for Harrison County, Indiana, till 11:15 tonight.
Yeah, we'll see if Louisville comes under a flood warning here, flash flood warning. We pop the radar on. You can see that heavy rain. Let's see. I'm going to zoom it out, and we'll put it in a loop. Let me get it. All right, I'm going to just turn that warning off a second. It's hard to tell what goes on when you have everything covering the imagery. So I'll turn that off. And let's look at the last 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely weakening, but you see the curvature in the house swings back up. So we're going to get repetitive rain over that little area.
That's a problem.
So wouldn't be surprised if places like Shively, PRP, maybe even Okolona wind up with a flash flood warning. May not cut. Well, they probably just put it across the entire area, but we'll see if that happens. Obviously, we've had decent amounts of rain and we've got more moving in. So we'd be next in line for the flash flood warning.
Yeah, no surprise there, given what's going on to our west at this time here with that stratiform rain moving in behind that push of thunderstorms here. And of course, this severe thunderstorm warning is out of an abundance of caution just because the storm is moving through such a very highly densely populated corridor here, straight through the heart of Louisville into the heart of our southern Indiana population and Clark and Floyd counties. This is pretty much a catch-all warning for some of the biggest places that we serve here. And thankfully that wind energy in the storm, the last time we queried it, had come down quite a bit. Still looks like it's not as impressive as it could be here. So just a precautionary measurement. We're not seeing any damage currently happening in Louisville, but we want to make sure that we get through this without that. So that warning is there just in case this tries to, kind of strengthen back up again. Sometimes these storms will pulse up and down in strength for a little while here. So Always good to be precautionary.
See Wavy putting out the sort of update that Spencer and parts of Shelby County could also be seeing some gusty winds, not severe, but you'll notice that's moving in as well. So that's one area. But the only warning we have is right for the heart of the metro area, and this is for Louisville. Severe thunderstorm warning till 9 o'clock. Radar indicated. You'll notice it doesn't have the tag or the impact of tornado possible, so that's good news. But as I stop the radar in its tracks, you can see that heavy rain. Let's zoom in a little more. The places that are seeing the heaviest of the rainfall stretch all the way down from Riverside Gardens. So that's on the far western side of Jefferson County, over through Shively, Southern Heights, right up Southern Parkway, including the airport where we have some very heavy rain. And if we were to see any wind gust, it should be on by now from the airport with.
And speaking of wind gusts here, while you're getting that up, Big Dog says that he's in Valley Station. Thunder was getting more frequent. Have not seen nor felt any wind gusts as of yet as that segment moves through. So thank you for the reports. Your eyes on the ground are very, very helpful. Vicki Ray is in Auburndale. She says a little bit of wind, but mostly just heavy rain there at the moment.
Yeah, appreciate the reports. That's what we always said. I always like that. There's you can spend millions of dollars on the best radar. That's helpful, but there's nothing like the ground truth, and that's a set of eyes because, the radar, we're reading the radar. Sometimes it's, not as accurate. Sometimes it's tough to read. Sometimes we haven't seen it before and we don't know what it is. So a little bit of all that goes into it, and it's like, man, if you got a set of eyes, you can be like, it blew the roof off that house. Like, well, okay.
No wind hardly in St. Denis right now, and that's kind of the core of this storm. So, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that there from our viewer there on YouTube, SDEL972. Appreciate that. Heavy rain in Old Louisville. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. It's just a long word. Let's see. Rain in Brandenburg, no wind. Okay. All right. This is good.
Big rainmaker.
Yeah, I think so.
Haven't seen much wind.
Yeah. Crispy Briskets in Valley Station there and says the lightning's picking up, but no reports of anything else there. Heavy rain has started in the south end, Shively, Churchill Downs area. Rain is coming straight down. No wind. Thank you, Weather Geek 502. Appreciate that. Straight down is like what we want to hear.
And you can see that heavy rain. I mean, it does stretch. Let's just zoom into that while we're talking metro. It's just anywhere from Fairdale, working your way up Heritage Creek, the Ford Assembly Plat that takes you into Louisville, and then over toward Trevilian Way, just off the zoo, Wilder Park. Of course, you get into Churchill Downs right through that area where you see U of L. Germantown, some of the heavier rain, and then another band of very heavy rain just across western Jefferson County, and that stretches up anywhere from Greenwood up toward the Riverside Gardens, Shively, and then eventually moving into Shawnee, Portland, and New Albany. It's already seeing it moving across to Floyd's Knob. So some heavy rain, but not much in the way of damaging wind.
Melissa Ward is in Elizabeth, Indiana. She says trees are down and we're without power at the moment.
Okay.
So little segment may have moved right through Elizabeth there with a 50, 60 mile per hour wind gust. Wouldn't shock me. That would have been a little bit ago that had happened.
Let's look at some of these wind speeds that we're looking at here. When we check the velocity, we're looking for those brighter pinks. So if we were to have some of the strongest winds in the metro, it would be over the Audubon Park area. Southern Heights, not far from the airport, so you'd think we'd at least see something. We have the 5-minute observations from the airport. We can check that for you, so we'll look at that and see if we have any.
Maximum wind that's being queried right now is about 55 miles per hour. And then I'll look at the 5-minute obs here. Those 5-minute obs can be delayed by up to 20 minutes, just FYI. So we might not have anything just yet, but we'll look at it.
Yeah, and usually if it's so intense, Wavy would have it. And
that's true.
That. Yeah. Flash flood warning for Washington County, Indiana, and this is observed.
Ooh,
so
yikes.
That means we have the flooding ongoing. So
that's never what you want to hear is an observed flash flood warning. We were concerned that might happen today, and there we go.
Strongest winds just updating just north of the airport now. This is taking it right across I-65, anywhere from the junction of the Watterson all the way up to U of L. So if you're, let's just go street level here. Why don't we?
Maximum wind at the airport so far, 9 knots.
Okay.
And that was as of 8:30. So we're only 8 minutes behind on that.
Audubon Park, Parkway Village, you're talking Cardinal Stadium over toward Floyd Street down to Kentucky Kingdom. I mean, that's where, if we were going to see any severe weather, it would be in this area.
Bingo.
This is where we have the strongest wind push.
Yeah, right along
But-
the closed section of 65, which partially is reopening, at least southbound from University, southbound toward, of course, 264 there. Some good news today on that.
Not a huge problem. This obviously we're just not seeing much out of this, and we would be seeing it by now. I mean, it is in the core of the population.
You guys would be squawking about it in the comments because we know we have a lot of eyes on the ground here.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at some of these.
Hear the rain on the roof at Wave here, just
Yeah,
really
I hear
cranked up in the last couple of seconds.
We're looking at the velocity. I can put the reflectivity on there. You see it. So we're right downtown. Get that off. There we go. So we're hearing this rain that's right over us downtown.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Heavier rain back over toward Portland, though, crossing over into New Albany. So we do have some heavy rain falling there. I was going to scroll back up here. I'm not sure where our SkyTrack cameras are. I might be able to pop up the Trimark. I can't promise that these banners are going to be where these are. So I'm just looking at the image. Yeah, look at that. That's heavy rain. We're looking at the bottom deck of the Sherman Minton. So
Yeah, a lot
it's
of
sort
water there.
protected, but you can see the lightning and the heavy rain falling around the bridge there.
Report of a 50-ish mile per hour wind gust in PRP about 15 minutes ago there.
And that was sort of an estimate, if I recall.
Yeah. Just
Life-threatening
eyeballing.
flash flooding is coming out
So
from
that's
the
with
app.
the,
So
that's with the
important.
observe tag
Yeah.
on the Washington County warning that it will trigger that here.
Yeah, so it's important to know when Wavy gives that information, it's looking at what those alerts say. And anytime it's observed, then Wavy's like, oh, it's happening. So I need to alert everybody. So you see that on the
And that's to flag us
Feed
and
here.
to flag you guys that, hey, we need to be looking at flooding. So that's a good thing to see that working tonight, which is good.
back to the radar. And then we'll check some of the MSD gauges across the area.
Carrie in Southeast Township says, strong downpour for a while here, enough to lose my wireless internet. No winds really. Creeks weren't full yet, but the yard was up, and I'm sure they'll fill soon. Again, that was Southeast Orange County, Indiana, that report. And there's your,
Oh, wait a minute.
that's
Sorry.
past 7 days.
I clicked the
Well,
wrong.
that's a lot of rain, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know.
Woo.
No wonder we're flooding out.
Yeah.
But this is just since midnight, and you can see some areas seeing more than 1.5 inches of rain across western Jefferson County. Others closer to that 1 inch mark, working your way from New Albany right down into the downtown area. Our weather gauge here in the weather garden, just over 1 inch of rain since midnight. We're adding to that now. We'll be adding to that again later on tonight.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it shakes out right now. We'll likely, end up with some places that will go over 4 and 5 inches of rain, especially since we've seen that already over 4-inch totals out in Du Bois County, where you see those oranges just in and south of Jasper there. So these rainfall totals are individual rain gauges, right? The problem is that sometimes rainfall of even higher intensity will happen between the gauges, which is much like what happened out near English, Indiana, where you just don't have a whole lot of observation network out there where Leavenworth is, and they may very well have picked up more than 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah, that's and that'll be rough, especially as we see more of this rain fall. The severe thunderstorm warning still out for very minor parts of Clark, Floyd, and Oldham counties, but a good chunk of Louisville comes right through the downtown area. That's until 9 o'clock, so we still have a little bit more. We're
Tree
getting
down on 150 in Floyd County there.
And if you were listening earlier, we were talking about that push of wind was coming right across 150. So it's not out of the question that we'd see a tree or two down with a 50-mile-an-hour wind. But is this anything like what we saw the other night? No way, Jose.
911 caller reports water overrode at 1791 West Water Street in Borden, Indiana. So that would be Clark County.
Sorry, I heard Wavy.
Wavy with a 264 West crash there, Dixie Highway.
Looking at the wind, our strongest push of wind now coming right through the Highlands, passing Germantown, going right toward Cherokee Park. 30-mile-an-hour wind gust. Maybe with this does not look too impressive. It's no more impressive than it was. It is the core of the storm, though.
Yeah, and that's the part that we'll have to watch the most there as it approaches Clifton, moves on through Cherokee Park. Again, very highly populated area of central Jefferson County, now stretching northeast into northeastern Jefferson County here pretty shortly. So if anything happens damage-wise, we're going to hear about it very quickly here. 43 miles per hour on the query that Kevin's making there. There's a 56, so that's definitely a bit more concerning over Cherokee Park. 54 miles per hour just north of 64. Your Seneca Park, and about 44 miles per hour as you approach the US 42 corridor there in parts of St. Matthews.
So, yeah, the strongest, Cherokee Park, 50, 56, somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And I'm just querying different ones. There's that 56 again, and that's getting over toward Grinstead Drive, just off the park.
Wind and heavy rain in Watterson Park. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate that.
57.
Yeah, so far, and in order to get a severe thunderstorm warning, you really need those 58 per mile per hour winds or greater. We're right up on the edge of that. So this is a very baseline severe thunderstorm warning.
And the radar's shooting up, so it doesn't necessarily translate to what we're seeing at the ground. We're seeing the climate report come out, but you'll notice just below the banner at the top of the screen, the temperature, the wind, and the gust. And our gust is still 0 from the airport.
I think you have to have a 15 mile per hour gust or higher for it to report on that.
So we're looking at wind. This is the most, we can handle the rain for now, but the wind that's coming through Barrett traditional middle, again, 54 mile an hour on the velocity. We're just not seeing a ton of wind coming down. That's about as strong as we've got it.
This is near the seminaries, by the way, Sacred Heart, Barrett. This is kind of just the western side of St. Matthews there, right along Lexington Road we're looking at right now.
Yeah, and you see the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary on the screen. This is the push of wind. It goes up toward, right around Shelbyville Road. Stilts Avenue there.
Yeah, that'd be Frankfurt Avenue in this part of the world. There's 42 up there.
Yeah, it's so hard to see. Our monitors in here are about the size of this. It's like my eyes are like bugging out. It's because I'm trying to like focus. Can you see? You know what I mean?
It's really tough. Yeah.
Your monitor's even smaller over there.
Yeah.
We're going to get this fixed.
Yeah. This is why I have to wear good contact lenses in order to see all these fonts. There's Crescent Hill Golf Course, Rolling Fields, Mockingbird Valley.
Do you ever wear glasses? I don't know if I've ever seen you in glasses.
I wear glasses at night.
But I mean, in here, have you worn your glasses? I don't think I've ever seen you in glasses.
I gave up glasses in 2012. And I wear them at home.
But a lot of people have trouble with contacts.
Right.
Like, my contacts are screwed up.
I've been very lucky. I've gone on the air without contacts in before, and let me tell you, that was a harrowing experience because I couldn't read a darn thing on the screen.
Well, we don't even read a prompter though. So
no.
Oh, you're talking about the graphics?
Graphics and labels. Yeah. So I had to like kind of memorize because my contacts had bounced out of my eyes. Basically, I had to memorize what I was basically going to say and point at, and it worked. But it was only for 1/2 hour of a 7 o'clock newscast about 3 years ago that happened. The first half hour was good, at least. 1-inch tree limbs broken, Orchard Grass Hills here in Louisville.
I had glasses in college because I was straining my eyes trying to read the. Back then they had.
I've never seen you in glasses outside of a Halloween costume, maybe.
Yeah, well, because I don't have glasses or contacts.
Yeah, you're lucky.
This year, the allergy season was so bad. I think I actually damaged my eyes by rubbing.
Oh, you might have. Yeah.
And so I'm having a worse and worse time this year with my eyes than I ever have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go have them checked out.
The contacts give you a superpower, right?
Oh, really?
The superpower is that when you're chopping onions in your kitchen, you don't have the crying sensation anymore. Right. So I can chop onions all day long without crying because the contact lenses block those micro droplets from actually hitting your eyes. So if you didn't know that, contacts kind of fun in the kitchen. It's a little easier to cut stuff up that's acidic like that. Peppers, onions, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Sellersburg there with a flooding report, kind of like a creek and stream flooding situation there. Boy, this on reflectivity is just not very impressive. Kevin needs some readers.
Yeah, I'm not that old yet.
Oh, hold on. Let me put on
into my nose.
My readers here. I have to be able to see. on it.
This storm is all but over. Why they're keeping this warning going, I don't know. Why they issued the warning, I really don't know. I mean, there was a little pocket of wind.
Yeah, there was something there. And they just, center of population, 55 plus mile per hour winds. They're probably groaning like we are, like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure they're fatigued as much as we are.
Yeah.
Listen, we're not going to badmouth the Weather Service. They do a great job, and they are great partners in this whole weather.
And they are as sleep deprived as we are, if not more, probably.
Say even more. Again, LMK coming out with Jefferson Clark County. That just means they're not going to extend this warning anymore.
Surprise, surprise.
So they'll continue to track these downpours across parts of Clark County.
They're keeping 50 mile per hour
Jefferson,
winds in that SPS there, that special weather statement. So that's a good call there, just based on what we've seen on the velocity. But so far, no reports of appreciable damage here in the metro that I've seen. And if you guys see anything to the contrary, please comment with it so that we can, vend that to everybody else here.
Just checking some of the rain totals again. Nothing we can't handle at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing any flooding reports that they'd flip out a flash flood warning just to play it safe.
Let's see. Valley Station, thunder, lightning, winds are very mild, in all caps, very. All right.
Well, technically, we still have 10 minutes left on this warning. It goes until the top of the hour. Let's just take some other comments. We were watching this before it was issued. We said, there's a little pocket of wind. We've got some wind gusts. Warning came out. You can see the lightning strike at the banner. 7. What is that in the last 10 minutes?
That's 10 minutes. That's always a 10-minute count for those who are watching.
So we're looking at that in that view. So
Hot Potato on YouTube. We got crispy brisket and hot potato.
It's making me hungry.
High winds in Old Louisville now. So that was back at 45 after about 5 minutes ago. So you guys may have had some gusty winds moving through there.
I saw one about Bardstown. So let me just
Bardstown looking nasty. That may just be from a
little downpour.
Yeah, from a rain standpoint, dark clouds. I'm sure it doesn't look the nicest there. Fairly heavy rain in Linden now from Jared. Thank you, Jared. Light rain in Grayson County from Tina.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The back edge of this is fading out fast. Let me zoom out. I'll swap radars from the single site to the mosaic here. Let me go back.
Bardstown has wind now, according to Sabrina. If you see anything that's like damaging wind, please let us know. Doubt you will, but just want to make sure.
Doubt they'll let us know? Or doubt they'll see the wind?
Doubt they'll see the wind. We know you guys like us. You might be sick of us after the last week and a half, but hey, here we go. Raining hard in Bardstown right now.
Yeah, that was a good pocket of rain coming in, but very little in the way of wind. You'll notice we do have a wind gust. What's that say? 35 miles?
35 mile per hour wind gusts at the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport.
Downpouring in Middletown.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that.
You can see we look past this shield of rain that we have now, which is over top of us and moving across all of our viewing area. That's on the exit. And then on the backside of this, it gets much more scattered. So that's what we'll be looking for to move in later on tonight. But as it lines up and moves in, you're going to see some of the rain come across the same area. So that's why we've been saying all along that flooding could be an issue along this. Anytime we have a front that's oriented west to east over top of us, that begs the potential for that moisture to line up along that boundary and just keep training along it. And that's the problematic part with seeing so much of rain chance, is that some of areas along that front and just out sort of on the southern side of that where the moisture interacts could see some very heavy totals over the next day and a half.
More wind reports. One from Fern Creek. Jay Wise there says he's got a little bit of wind in Fern Creek at this time. Let's see, some wind and moderate to heavy rain in Memphis, Indiana, which makes sense. You guys are kind of in that zone right there with that burst of wind moving through. And not much in Mount Washington.
Back to the velocity we go, just to see if there's any kind of wind that we have seen on an uptick. Sometimes you see this sort of flex up and down, but right now, it's not a lot.
Meh.
No, in fact, there's even some stronger winds outside of the warning.
High winds and lightning in Bardstown again from Sabrina. Thanks again for your reports down there.
Well, appreciate that. And there's that pocket of wind that Sabrina may be seeing, especially just north of Bardstown, be over Cox's Creek. So we look at that. We can just take a look at sample some of those winds above the surface. Those are coming in close to 50 miles an hour, 48. Let's do it again. There's 43. Moving that off. Boom. There's 142. And another one at 47. So we do have some wind there. A lot of that's not reaching the ground, so non-severe, at least at this point. But some of those winds are stronger than the ones where we even have the severe.
Yeah, fun little like notch feature too, just south of Fairfield, southwest of Bloomfield there. I was just kind of looking at, no big deal, but if anybody's looking super close at the radar there, if this were a different environment, that would be something to look at. But at this point, I don't think there's much going on down there. Again, that's near Bloomfield, just watching just a little bit of a notch there on the radar, both the velocity and, of course, the reflectivity there just north of the Bluegrass Parkway.
Yeah, Weather Service keeping an eye on that as well. Just saying, hey, we've got our eyes on it. But at this point, they've just put out a special weather statement saying 50-mile-an-hour winds are going to be possible with that. No warning.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get that to the ground, but we'll keep an eye on it here too. Well, we've got you guys, got all the different radar products kind of at our fingertips there. This is going to be moving toward US 62 there in Bloomfield pretty shortly.
Kind of interesting, though. This is that notch that Ryan was talking about. You can see it on the reflectivity where you have some of the strongest winds. Now, let's query that and just see what type of wind we may have there. Not far from 50. And then when we look at the reflectivity, you're going to see that little notch in there as well. And
cute little guy.
That's it. Right.
That's about it.
Yeah. So when we're looking at the radar, we're looking for any of these little, sometimes not easiest to pick out, especially if you're on a wide view. Let me show you what that looks like on a wide view. So if you didn't really observe where we had some of the stronger downpours going on, and you were just trying to pick that out from a view like this, you wouldn't be able to. You would just be like, I can't tell. Looks like there might be a storm. That's why being able to zoom into this saying, well, you know what? We got a little notch there. Let's check the velocity. Oh, we checked the velocity. We see there's an increase in wind speed. So, we will watch that and see what happens.
I just so happened to have the velocity open here on radar scope and was able to go, whoa, what was that little guy doing there?
Yeah.
And it was just by chance I happened upon it there. And it's been persistent for a few scans now. So it is
right toward Bloomfield.
Yeah, it is rotation. It is not rotation that's scary right now, which is good. But it is something to keep an eye on. Occurring about 50-mile-per-hour winds in that right now. And I think I saw the gate-to-gate shear was about 20 miles per hour.
And we've been
now up to 30.
Yeah, the shear. I'm just kind of querying around that too.
20, 30 miles per hour. Nothing higher than that, thankfully. That's not enough to prompt a tornado warning, most likely. It's enough to get our attention, especially when that's kind of the only game in town when it comes to rotation or even strong winds at this point down in Nelson.
All right, coming up on 9 o'clock, which is when the rest of the warning will expire here. It's out of there. We have nothing to worry about within that warning. There's more cropland yard basement. This is Louisville. Creek overflowing.
Yeah, so that's going to be our main thing is flooding. I mean, by and large, this is, I think this was the 7th or 8th wettest June on record. I'd have to check. Yeah, more flooding in Henryville there. But once we get through tonight, we'll see what the rain gauge is, the rain gauge, I should say, the airport says, and see where we lie on that. But we're a top 10 wettest June on record right now.
Well, keeping an eye on the radar, obviously tonight we're going to keep the alert day for another hour. It'll all be sort of past us and just a big old rainmaker after that. Zoom out on the radar. You can see that rain stretches all the way back out to our western counties. With that, we see showers, thunderstorms, some with lightning, but not a ton of lightning. In our home view, that includes all 34 counties that we serve, we have seen 28 bolts of lightning in the last 10 minutes. That's not that big of a deal.
No, there's a surprisingly low amount of lightning, and that's just because there's just not much instability in the atmosphere, and we haven't seen many reports of hail either. All right, severe thunderstorm warning for that notch tore possible tag on that. They went ahead and decided to do that. That's going to be the Bloomfield storm.
This is the one we've been watching. So you saw us talking about this. Again, that notch right over Bloomfield showing that potential wind. We queried that at close to 50 on the measurement from the radar. That doesn't mean that is what is hitting the ground. But nonetheless, that is what we have seen on the radar. So the warning, they just went ahead and decided to issue that. We can still see that velocity. I'll zoom in even more. It's a little less impressive than, frankly, it was.
Yeah. Not getting anything above 50 miles per hour now. I was getting like 52 earlier, so it's lessened in intensity by just a little bit of a step there.
If we were to see the winds, boy, my friends in Bloomfield would be seeing it right now. This is where the wind is. Doesn't mean it's touching the ground, but it could at any point. Why is that? Well, sometimes you get the heaviest downpours, and let's overlay the radar on top of this. And you can see that is where we have the heaviest rain. If the rain is strong enough or heavy enough, it can bring some of those winds right down to the surface, and you get strong winds. Now, obviously, if it's rotating, it's a whole different ballgame, but we see at least some minor rotation with this. There was a bullseye right over that area, they said, and the Weather Service just pointing out that the storm relative velocity right over Nelson County. So that is where they were watching.
And that's kind of the pre-storm environment they were talking about there. There was a little bit of a wind shear in the atmosphere that the storm was passing through that may help to enhance that rotation. But again, not enough for a tornado warning at this time. It just doesn't look like that for now, but we'll continue to monitor it. New scan has come in on the radar there, back up to like 51 miles per hour on the outbound, 55 miles per hour now right over Bloomfield on that outbound wind. So that's something to look at there. So if you're in Bloomfield and you've got any reports, please post those here in chat. Stay indoors, away from doors and windows.
We also, our friend Ben Pine, who worked at HAS for years, now over at Xstall Magazine, he's reporting flooding in Borden, Indiana. And
yeah, he's got some good street flooding there, small limbs embedded with all of that. Goodness, yeah, a lot of rain there. It's kind of a hilly section, so the water is going to run down the sides of the hills and collect in the valleys and the creeks. So if you live near a creek or a stream in Louisville, in parts of southern Indiana near Louisville, this is the time to stay away from that. If you see any sort of flooding, don't try to drive through it. Just be safe in a situation like this.
Oh, let's see here. I'll just try to jump into.
Still about 55 miles per hour queried wind speed over top of the Bloomfield area right now.
All right, keep an eye on that. I'm going to pump in this.
Be keeping an eye on that and reports coming in from you guys here.
Ash is reporting.
I'm trying to read all of that. Yeah.
Well, on the 44-mile marker, 2 semis in the barrier, north and south. Traffic's at a halt. NDOT and route mud removal. So
yeah.
Let's see if
sounds like a mudslide almost.
Mile marker 44.
That's on 65.
I see it up around. Would that be? If I could control this. Close to Seymour.
I hate to ask, but yeah, that would probably be closer to Seymour. Let me look and see what exit Caruthersville is here. What number is that? I don't know my exit numbers. Exit number 36 is Caruthersville. So yeah, you'd be right on the Seymour.
Yeah. So we see the traffic back up.
There it is. Yeah. That's southbound. It looks like, at least from this vantage point here, just due south of Seymour, where that's going to be. I see it in Google Maps too. Boom. Let's see.
What do we have up that way? Let's see. Boy, I can't see this.
That's Crike Corner, Chestnut Ridge, Fleming, Four Corners, Seymour, that area of 65. Still tracking to the Bloomfield cell. The rotation is now east of Bloomfield proper, still picking up about 54 mile per hour outbound. Velocity on that on the radar doesn't mean it's reaching the ground at that speed, but it is something to watch. The overall rotation signature is a little less impressive. It is still definitely there, though. The notch itself on reflectivity still kind of just at this time. So that's, still an item that we'd continue to monitor for, but it's not super crazy at the moment. East of Bloomfield, definitely enough for the severe thunderstorm warning. Certainly still not enough for a tornado warning up there.
I'm looking at the traffic cameras. This is I-65 at Seymour at US 50. Can't really see much on
Yeah, and that's
that,
updated about 3 minutes ago.
But
So,
there's
yeah, that's
no
recent.
traffic, which is interesting. You'd think we'd see at least a car. So I'm going to go back to the one.
Yeah, that's a part of the world. Once you get south of Seymour, it's hard to get traffic cameras. There's just not a whole ton between about Scottsburg and Seymour there. That's US 50 actual in Seymour.
Sorry.
That poor house always shows up during the winter time on all of our pavement temperature graphics, because this is kind of like the Seymour camera, if you will, that we always show when there's a big old snowstorm in our northern counties. So bless whoever is in that house there. They seem to always be on TV. It's kind of fun. Latest scan there on the velocity east of Bloomfield continues to weaken a bit. It is getting a little farther from the radar site too, so I suspect that may be part of the reason why it's looking like that a little bit. But nonetheless, you see our updated traffic camera there. That is I-65, and that is mile marker 55, it looks like.
All right, back to the radar we go.
So that's
then.
pretty close.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, not seeing anything crazy.
Back to Bardstown.
It is a low traffic time of day too here at 9 o'clock, so that may be helping.
Important thing about our radar, you'll notice when we pop on the warnings, this warning is a severe thunderstorm warning. But when you see it, let me go back before it was queried. Well, maybe I will. Notice how it has that black outline around it. Well, in fact, let me zoom in so you can see it. Then I'll just turn the thing off. So I wanted to just point out, notice on that before the radar kicks over it right there, you can see that black outline around it. That's an indication that it comes with the tornado possible tag. So the idea is we've made these to where you can look at our radar and say, oh, that's just a normal severe thunderstorm warning, or like, oh, well, that one maybe we're more interested in if it's in my area because it's outlined with black, and that means it's a little more severe. It has something that goes along with it, which in our case is the tornado possible.
And it can also be for considerable damage threat as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be for a tornado possible in there. So any severe thunderstorm warning with a special tag or trimming on it, as we call it there, is what solicits that black outline on it. You can still see a little bit of that rotation east of Bloomfield. Kevin has it up now. Not like it was before. The speeds are lower. The appearance is not as organized, but it's still there, just north of 62.
Yeah, it should go just near, maybe slightly north of Johnsonville. That's going to be moving out of our area, though. So we'll watch that as it moves over toward Ashbrook, part of Anderson County.
So that's Anderson County that's next up, but it's going to be just north of the BG Parkway there.
But that is the area, again, in the velocity signature. You can kind of see this area there. This would be the notch that we're watching. And let's just overlay that with the radar. And that is where we have the notch. So you sort of see a little V notch there where we have the push of wind.
Someone's asking, does Mount Washington have rotation? This is the only area of rotation we're tracking, and that's east of Bloomfield. So Mount Washington, nobody else has that at this point. And once these storms, this initial surge exits our counties, we're pretty much done with the rotation threat. That'll squeeze that out for the rest of the night.
Long warning too. Now for our viewing area, it's going to be shorter than that because it runs out of Nelson County probably within the next 20 minutes. So maybe until the bottom of the hour, we'll be concerned with this if terms of what that may do. But at this point, it's running into an area that's not favorable. So we wouldn't anticipate this to really all of a sudden ramp up. It's not like, oh, we'll start to see, something major going on. So,
yeah, lightning and heavy rain now in Mount Washington from Terry. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Anything new? Crispy Briscoe was saying, hey, SPC kept Louisville in the marginal. What's going on? Yeah, sometimes those outlooks, once you get late into a severe weather outlook, they kind of they get lethargic, if you will. So yeah, like that is what Kevin and Crispy Briscuit's talking about here. Yeah, they kept the marginal, even though it's super marginal at best, but the slight is definitely gone, which is to be expected here.
And then they finally shifted that way out where you had those individual cells.
Which makes sense out there. Our severe weather threat is effectively coming to a close very quickly here as we've come on this live stream this evening. Flooding continues to be the problem. Law enforcement reports water approaching homes on West Main Street in Borden, Indiana, and Clark County. So turn around, don't drown. If you are evacuated by local officials, please do so quickly here. So far, we haven't heard of that, but whenever we hear water approaching homes, that always gives us pause. We want to make sure that everybody knows in Borden that there is some high water at this time. That is going to be western Clark County, where Borden is in Indiana, if you're unfamiliar with the area.
I was just checking my email to see if I have any reports coming in. Nothing that we haven't mentioned. So appreciate the folks that have sent a few flooding reports. Have not had any wind reports.
No,
really,
like almost zero. And the wind reports we've had so far are like high winds. They haven't been like measured speeds, large tree limbs down, roof shingles blown off. We haven't seen that kind of support in the data for that to be happening tonight, it seems. I said the word support because I just saw the word support in my email. Sorry about that.
That's weird how that
It's one of those things where you're reading something while trying to talk and the word that you're reading comes out of your mouth.
Let's see. A few minutes ago, Bobby Elder was over at the airport, which says the wind was rocking the truck a little bit. And you can see the latest gust down from the previous gust, which was 35 miles an hour. Now the latest gust at 29 at the airport.
29er.
So they had a little bit of wind gust, but nothing too outrageous. I don't think we've seen 50-mile-an-hour winds touch down yet.
I haven't seen any reports of such. No measurements either. So that's good. I think we'll be in pretty good shape here. It's just, again, really just about the flooding. And flooding is just no fun for anybody because it's long, it's drawn out, it's deadly, and cleaning up from it is just the worst. Kevin, zooming back in on that warning, that is extreme northeastern Nelson County now. And that rotation just doesn't want to go away. It's still there. It's now approaching Sparrow on 62, but it'll be out of our counties here in a very short time.
SB Ham says, why don't you show the actual radar?
Okay. Cool.
We have been.
All
Where
right.
have you been? Where have you been, SB Ham?
Maybe at that very moment we weren't, but like.
Come on in. Stick around a while. You'll see the radar.
Okay.
We have this warning in place until 9:45. Again, tornado possible on that as it moves over towards Sparrow, Van Buren. That's about, I'd say, 10, 15 minutes from moving out of northeast Nelson County.
And then it will be kind of in the Lexington media market, as it were, right along the BG Parkway.
More helpful to us than the actual radar in this situation, though, is the velocity. So if you've noticed, we have kept the velocity on a whole lot just because this is where we can actually see the wind.
Yeah, that's the most helpful thing. That's what's affecting people. The rain is just kind of everywhere, but the velocity is in one specific spot here, right along US 62 in northeast Nelson County there.
Yeah, we'll just kind of keep watching this until that warning gets out of here. Other than that, man, the weekend, it's not going to be a washout, so I'm glad the rain chances from Monday's point of view versus today have come way down. We thought Saturday might have more of what today has had in it, but it looks a little less. Still going to have some downpours, so you're going to need the Wave Weather app to keep up with when to sort of duck inside or not. But that'll be something to keep an eye on through the weekend. Rain chances go even lower by Sunday, and temperatures start to go up. And we're talking massive heat by next week. We haven't had this. We didn't have this last year.
No, we didn't.
And it's been a while since we've seen a string of mid-90s plus the high humidity. Now, why? Obviously, we've got plenty of ground moisture because of the recent rains. And as we evaporate that into the air, we're going to have plenty of the heat index. I keep looking to see what Wavy's talking about. So this is just a continuation of this warning.
You can see it flashing there. They cut off the western edge of that. And the prior alert, by the way, was multiple vehicles stranded in Du Bois County due to flooding. So yikes, not good there.
No, and speaking of multiple vehicles, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but that can opener downtown where they have all these trucks going. Yeah. They have like 13 sets of signs before that thing, and every day it gobbles up like 3, 4, 5 vehicles.
Mindy Peterson said there were 29 signs posted about that thing.
I think there's been about that many vehicles that have had their
easy.
top sheared off.
There's even a website devoted to keeping track of it. They're selling T-shirts. It's ridiculous.
That's nuts.
And I love it. Only because it's not hurting anybody physically, but it's a pain to get all that cleaned up. It causes traffic delays in the area. So are we going to deal with this all the way through the end of the I-65 shutdown? I mean, that's kind of what it's looking like. We were expecting there to be traffic catastrophes thanks to the 65 shutdown. And honestly, the biggest story has been the can opener.
Yeah.
On the University of Louisville campus. If you're not familiar with it, Google it. Holy cow. It has become a cultural phenomenon in this city, and it's making waves all over the internet right now. It's insane. We've always called it that, by the way. It's an old railroad bridge.
So we're getting reports of multiple homes that have been damaged in the Harmony Woods neighborhood. That's over in Clark County.
Okay. Is that due to flooding?
That's a good question. That came from the emergency manager.
And they're asking flooding or storm. I would imagine flooding. Like, how could it be storm? I would be very surprised, though. Crazier things have happened. Could be wrong.
We'll see what they say.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Stand by.
Yeah. You're as intrigued as we are. Again, this is in Harmony Woods in Clark County, Indiana. And hopefully we get some more clarity on that, because that is... Okay, he's typing. So we'd like to know what that is. Storm damage.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see what we've got.
Yeah, that's odd.
Pop this in.
Yeah, while he's doing that, we're trying to get some folks over there. What we're watching here on the radar, by the way, is Sparrow, Kentucky. This is the very last part of Nelson County, northeast Nelson County, that this rotation is going to be going through here. It's going to be exiting into Anderson County. May clip the very northern edge, like that little appendage there of Washington County. You see in black just south of 68 there, north of the BG Parkway. That's bluegrass for you folks who may not be familiar. So once that exits in about a radar scan or so, that'll be done for us, the rotational part of this whole shebang, most likely. That's going to be the end of that, just because the rest of these storms, the ones moving down through Springfield, are just not as impressive when it comes to that. Still a push of wind, though, moving through the south central part of Washington County into Springfield proper at this time. A little bit of wind behind that little bit of rotation moving through Bloomfield. That may not be reaching the ground, though. And then as we take you up on the velocity, you'll note that we're still watching for any sort of signs of rotation or stronger winds. Not seeing a whole lot of that. And let's zoom in and just kind of go through what we saw in Clark County, just in case that is indeed storm damage. There was a little bit of a spin there near New Washington, but it's in the wrong part of the storm to drop anything, because if we put back on the radar, maybe a little something there, but it's not a huge deal at this time. We're so far behind so much rain that the instability in the atmosphere with this situation is just not going to be enough for these storms to do anything more pressing than just a lot of heavy rain and some gusty winds here. So we'll keep an eye on that. That northern part would be about the worst part that we're seeing in northeastern parts of Clark County, southern parts of Scott County, Indiana, when it comes to the strongest storms that we have here. Brooke says, Brandon, Harmony Woods is just off the Memphis exit along Highway 31. So let's drill back down in there on velocity and see what may have happened near the Memphis exit on I-65 a little bit ago. See if there was something that got through the cracks here. So there's Memphis.
Well, it had to be just that push of wind.
It had to be this right here.
50 miles an hour.
Yeah, this guy right here. And this was around 9 o'clock, maybe 8:55. That's when that would have happened. Again, we're getting a report from emergency management of multiple homes damaged in the Harmony Woods neighborhood. This is going to be in Clark County. Of course, it's going to query the wrong thing.
Yeah, the warning's on.
Yeah, it drives me in bananas. There we go. Okay, so we're back to getting that off of there. And we can query to see what those winds were at the time. Just west of 65, the radar was picking up 17 mile per hour winds. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's get to that real quick. Lo and behold, that exact segment of the storm that we were just tracking there. That's going to be for Lexington, Madison, Milton. That goes until 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's parts of Clark, Jefferson County, Indiana, Scott County, and Trimble County here. It's that little whirligig notch I was looking at near New Washington, north of Charlestown a little earlier. And this is maybe what went through the Memphis area a little bit earlier near Harmony Woods, if there was some damage up there.
There was damage. I'm looking at some of the photos.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, definite damage. Holy smoke. Look at that roof damage.
It took off some shingles all the way down to...
Oh, that took the wood planking off. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's not good. I'm curious what happened there. Looks like firefighters are on the scene there of that damage at this time. And that's going to be around 8:55, 8:56 that something would have happened there. Wow. Yeah, definitely some sort of either straight-lined microburst or quick tornado damage happened out there in Clark County. We don't know what it was yet. They're going to be surveying that most likely, but that is definitely something that's a problem. And again, this is the Harmony Woods subdivision there of Clark County, and happened probably about 25 minutes ago that we're seeing that happening there on the radar.
So here we are, a week into 3 different severe weather episodes. The first 2 put down 7 tornadoes on the ground in the viewing area. And tonight we've had a severe thunderstorm warning that has damaged several homes in this neighborhood. So this is wild. And this was the Harmony Woods. Yeah, Memphis exit, US 31, I-65 there. Unfortunately, our weather graphics have locked up, as you see here. Give me just a second, we'll get those fired back up. It's always fun when that happens. So Kevin will get you back up. Well, I'm not Brian yet. I'll swing back over. We've got...
Trying to get our weather graphics back up.
I have nowhere to go.
Which is always fun.
I'm going to pop this up for a second. I'll let you look outside. Nothing's happening down.
Give us a sec here while their graphics machine spins back up. It's coming back up, thankfully.
And then we'll put that camera on you.
Whoa.
Hello.
Keep forgetting that if I press that button. All right, we're going to get back to... It's always fun when everything just kind of...
It's coming back up. It just takes a second.
Goes crazy all at once here. And then... All right, box number 1. Camera 1. That's going to be camera 2. And now we can take that. Aha! Now you can see, of course, we've got...
Oh, there you go.
And now next to us. And, of course, the graphics are coming back up just in time for that. So we'll go back to us 2. There we go.
There you go.
Aha.
Well, perfect. And if you will put that in there, I'm going to run the newsroom to make sure we've got somebody to go. So you can pop in
I'll pop
radar
in
beside you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll just make sure that we have folks heading the right direction up to Clark County near the Memphis exit where we're seeing this damage. That's a big problem up there. What we saw, and I can't show you the photo because I don't have it cleared copyright-wise, but what I can describe to you is there was a what looked to be a single-story home that did not have part of a roof, and it was not only missing the shingles on like the right side of the home, but it was missing part of the wood decking or boards underneath that too, exposing the attic. That's a problem. That's typically something that you see with like a microburst or a quick, weak tornado. We don't necessarily know what happened there. That is concerning. That we did have just a very minor bit of rotation that moved through there at that time. It was like almost not even worth writing home about. There was no warning on the storm because it was just not that impressive on radar, but things can happen between scans. Things can happen that the radar doesn't see very well. So that's our concern with this, is that may have been a quick spin-up tornado, some sort of microburst perhaps. There is a severe thunderstorm warning out for the exact same storm that caused the damage near Harmony Springs there in Harmony Springs. in the Memphis area. And that continues for the next little bit here. This is near Nab, Indiana. This is Chelsea, Indiana. This is New Washington, currently under this warning here. Again, radar indicated they did not put a tornado possible tag on there. Again, I don't think there's a necessity for that at this time. We might be close, though. Right in New Washington, right northwest of New Washington. This little guy right here, let's see if we can move this around a little bit. This is not my graphics workspace here, so I'm missing things that I need. Whoops. There's the arrow that I need to move things around. Okay. So you can kind of see that is co-located with a higher bit of reflectivity right there. So there may still be just a little spin in the storm there. And this is kind of almost a bookend vortex type situation where you're on the northern edge of a Boeing segment here, and you get a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere when that happens. So may very well be a little bit of a bookend vortex there near New Washington, Indiana at this time. And that's partially why they put the warning on there. But that's what we're seeing right now with this warning. If we can query it, you'll see that we have looks like 57 miles per hour on the velocity there. Again, maybe a little bit of rotation associated with that. The shear is not very high, though. It's like 37 miles per hour at most, getting a lot of like 10s and 20s. So that's not very impressive here. So the Weather Service will be able to get up there quickly because this is literally right off of 65. We may have some survey results, as early as perhaps tomorrow morning or earlier, if they can get up there fast enough and see what the heck happened with that particular storm here. So this is, again, the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Clark, Jefferson, Indiana, not Kentucky, not Louisville, Scott County, and, of course, parts of Trimble County in Kentucky. This goes for another about 35 minutes on here. They've got long expiration times on these for tonight. This guy is currently moving. If I can get my off-air query here on, it looks like if I can put that up. Oh gosh, does that say 25? I think that says 25 miles per hour. 35. There we go. 35 miles per hour is the speed moving toward the north and east at this time. Let's see. SDL 972 says Indiana has been taking some hard hits this year with weather. Absolutely. Mark Hall says 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts in central Oldham County right now. Let's go buzz over to there, see what's going on in Oldham. This is, again, kind of the forward part of these thunderstorms that continue to exit our area, but they're putting down some wind gusts and then obviously some damage up in Clark County, Indiana tonight. You see in Oldham, we've got a little bit of a reflectivity uptick there. Nothing huge, just east of LaGrange on the Henry County line. Not seeing anything on the radar that's super concerning. Maybe just a little bit of a wind gust there near Campbellsburg in Henry County, Kentucky at this time. That's all we can write home about up there. All of these storms, the ones that are of most concern, are continuing to push kind of east-northeast at this time through our area. So Madison, you guys are up next for this particularly concerning area of thunderstorms here near New Washington. Could have some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in that. Not really seeing any sort of rotation at the moment with this latest scan, so that's good. What we had moved through, again, near the Harmony Springs subdivision, could have been rotation related, could have been a microburst. We're not quite sure just yet. They'll have to survey to figure that out. But right now, about 32 miles per hour on that latest query that I've just done there with this particular storm that's been kind of dancing right near the Scott, Jefferson, Clark line, just north of New Washington. This is east of Lexington, west of Saluda, that we're seeing the highest potential for that. So there you go. That's the latest that we have on the radar view from that particular storm at this time.
All right. I've put in a couple of calls over in the newsroom. We're going to send a photog up to just take a look at that damage. We've seen one house that was damaged. We also have Gavin, the emergency manager over in Clark County. I was communicating. Going to try to get him on the line with us if he has a chance. I know they're busy, so may not have the ability to do that. But we'll see if that's the case. And if he calls in, we'll get him on the line just to see how widespread this is. We know there were multiple homes. The first report came in. We've seen one, but it was significant damage.
I don't doubt that based on the damage that we've seen. When you not only remove the shingles, but part of the roof decking too, that is definitely a cause for concern. we're very much curious about what happened up there, what the level of damage is to those other homes, and certainly what caused all of this, whether it was a tornado, whether it was a microburst, some sort of straight line wind situation, which would have to be, pardon my French here, hellaciously fast for it to do that level of damage where you're going beyond the shingles. So that's interesting to say the least. Kind of considering the engineering aspect of that, where you're pulling up that roof decking, which that looked like not an old home by any stretch. So it was probably screwed down into the roof joists pretty well. So that's what we would expect. Hopefully it's not a problem with the home's, structural engineering, and more so, the storm was pretty bad. So we'll see what they come up with there, and we'll see what our, photographer finds once we go up there and see what may have happened.
I've routed in the storm tracker. We're obviously not live on it yet, but we'll show you that on the way there. It's raining heavily outside. I peeked outside when I went.
No surprise there.
Really coming down.
Yeah.
So heavy rain here. Strongest pocket of wind has been with that warning that we've been tracking across southern Indiana. So that is the sort of culprit of what caused this damage in Clark County. And it was intense winds because it wasn't just shingles that were ripped off. It took it all the way down to the joists.
Yeah, ripping that roof decking off is that's bad news right there. That's something that only a couple of phenomena can do coming from a storm like that. So I'll be curious to see what they have up there. Let's see. In Vesta, Indiana, the bullfrogs are loving this light rain. I can imagine. Downpour right now in Sellersburg from our friend Madeline up there on YouTube. Wind and heavy rain in Willisburg from Paula. And Esdell here says, well, Kevin's not texting me. I know that much.
Well, it could be. You never know. Random people I text all the time. I'm like the one finger texter over here, so it's not the fastest
right.
thing.
It happens. Multitasking is not the easiest thing here. Let's see. I take back what I said about the creeks. We're now well over 2.8 inches in the last few hours, and the creeks are overflowing in southeast Orange County, Indiana. Samantha says, we did get a big gust of wind for a few minutes as the storm went over. I'm assuming you're up in Clark County. That's what we've been referencing here. Let's see. Saw the rotation about 15 minutes ago over our house at the edge of Charlestown. You may have seen a little spin in the clouds there based on the velocity. It didn't look very impressive, but it doesn't take much. We have seen little quick 30-second tornadoes drop from very not impressive radar signatures here. So that would not be shocking to me if that's, what may have happened there. But we'll see. We'll see what they say.
Seems the wind has eased just a bit. And of course, the overall trend would be a weakening trend. So that's the good. Doesn't mean there aren't pulses up and down, but at least at this point, the trend would be for a weakening trend.
Heavy rain, strong winds in Palmyra at this time. Folks are talking about the sunset was kind of creepy in spots tonight, just kind of seeing through the storm clouds. Can understand that. Folks asking about Carrollton. You folks are not under the warning in Carroll at this time. It literally is notched around you. So they're not electing at the National Weather Service in Wilmington, Ohio. It's a separate office to do that. New severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible on it. That should come up in our system.
This one may be just outside. What do you know?
Anderson
and Fayette.
So
it's going to be just outside of our viewing area.
Mercer and the fact that Scott County and Washington County were in there triggered wavy because it thought it was Washington would. So so there's like a little tiny bit of Washington. That's why it triggered wavy right there for that particular one. So the rotation would not be going through Washington really. It's clipped by that.
Wind damage coming out of Du Bois County.
Oh, there you go.
Multiple reports. These are going to be several trees that were down.
Yeah, several trees down around 7:55. So that's about an hour and a half ago that happened there. That's State Road 64 near Kewayana.
So that storm's headed right toward Lexington, so they'll be in line for that. Here in Louisville, when we look at what's happening here, we just have heavy rain falling across the Louisville area. As far as severe weather, one severe thunderstorm to our north. But for Louisville, it's just all rain. Our severe weather threat pretty much zero here in Louisville, and ending fast in this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 10 o'clock to our north. Check the velocity. Still have some strong winds just north of New Washington, pretty close to the Saluda area.
Yeah, so that's going to be your spot in all of our counties. That's the most impacted by, the wind that we see on radar right now, moving toward the Madison area. A new severe thunderstorm warning now for Carrollton. The Carroll County warning has come out, and there you go. That's Carroll, Gallatin, Owen counties, and that goes until 10:15 Eastern. And you can see a little whirligig of rotation there north and east of Campbellsburg and Henry County. Perhaps that's what they're going for. Can definitely see that being a problem. That will track up close to I-71 in eastern Carroll County. I don't think Carrollton proper would be affected by that particular little whirligig.
Yeah, just south of it, but running right along 71. So Carson would be in line for that. And then eventually Glencoe probably stays just north of the New Liberty area. But southern parts of Carroll County under that strongest bit of what rotation we see on the radar.
You can tell all the National Weather Service offices are on high alert for these little areas of rotation now. They may be even more sensitive to these just because of what just happened potentially in the Memphis area. Again, we don't know exactly what happened, but we'll be able to get some clarity on that hopefully pretty soon. Looks like the storm tracker is here at the station and it's getting ready to roll north.
Yeah, so it's just about...
they're getting ready to go. If they've got the signal up, then we should be moving here any minute.
So we'll follow this over. There's Ian getting in the driver's seat. So we'll be taking the storm tracker over to Memphis, Indiana, seeing what happened there. We know that we have roof damage, at least to one structure. But according to the emergency manager over there, Gavin Hebner, we have multiple homes that have been damaged, and he's already there. He is checking those structures, so we know that we have had some impact coming from.
He has. I'm just going to describe it.
Yeah,
he's got a 2x4 going through a roof. That's one of those. If it quacks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, that may very well have been a quick tornado that did that there. That is not good. So that's going to be, again, Harmony Woods is what we're talking about there. With that particular photo, that was impressive to see the debris getting lofted and being able to pierce, not only shingle, but the wood decking underneath that. We may very well be looking at a brief tornado.
Can you just put that in the, so Ian
can
see that?
Absolutely.
So he knows where.
And I've got an address on that too, so I'll make sure he gets that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Gavin, if he has a chance, will give us a shout. But again, I said, I know you're busy. So I know how this goes when they're trying to survey the damage and first and foremost, making sure everybody's okay. You can see those two warnings, Carroll, and then the one we're tracking across parts of southern Jefferson County near Saluda. Those are very close together. So these are two areas that we are watching. One has a bit more rotation, which is the one in Carroll County. The other one has a little bit broader of a pocket of wind that we're seeing. So that's the area that we're watching. Two areas, two different warnings. Appreciate so many folks being on tonight. We've been here, when we were looking at the previous two rounds of storms, we'd provided nonstop coverage for so long. I mean, it went on and on because the first one was about, how many hours were we on that first one? 8?
Something like that. It was like a whole shift's worth of severe weather coverage.
10. I think it was 10 hours by the time we ended sunrise.
It was a lot.
We went all night long.
Yeah.
And then the other night, it started just at like 8 o'clock, and then it went all the way until 2 in the morning. So there have been some long nights here. This one's not going to go that long. It's 9:30 now. We're just about in the woods for our viewing area. Washington County, Kentucky. Riley is asking, let me go to that. Oh, sorry. I'm sitting here on the storm tracker. I was explaining these two warnings, but we do have the other warning to our south. This is the one that comes across Washington County, Kentucky, but it's just about out of your area. So I'd say unless you are in well, that's even outside. So north of Willisburg, maybe Tatum Springs over toward Cardwell, could see some gusty winds, but the greatest threat's going to be now along the Bluegrass Parkway into Anderson County.
Yeah, so there you go. That's just east of our viewing area there that we're seeing that. That's that new warning with the tornado possible tag on it that we were just talking about there.
So that is the severe thunderstorm warning that bumps right against the Lexington area. Looking at the velocity you see, what about the reflectivity? Again, heavy rain, Strong winds. There's a notch, but again, tough to point out any type of strong rotation, but this area would be an area to watch. And that's right over the Dugansville area.
Yeah. Don't think that's
just outside of Washington.
Yeah, not a huge concern at this point.
No,
which is good.
But again, some of these that haven't been huge concerns have caused some problems.
Have caused huge concerns. So yeah, it's just really tough.
Let's go back to these northern views just to see what we've got. Again, we keep tracking that bit of rotation across parts of Carroll County. It's going to be in this zone here, right along the Carroll County border.
So yeah, that's Carroll County right there, right where it kind of meets up with Owen County. There is where we're watching that potential moving through areas south of Carrollton. So Carrollton, you guys will not most likely be affected by this. It's going to pass safely to your south. But for those who may be traveling along I-71 in Carroll County, this could be a problem. Some strong wind gusts there, minor rotation. Again, we do not have any tornado warnings at this time. We don't have anything that rises to the occasion of that right now. Obviously, something happened in northern Clark County near Harmony Woods. That is where the storm tracker is heading right now. They're going to get on 65 southbound and Beeline right up there. We should be there in 5-10 minutes. It doesn't take long. Once we get on the interstate, that takes a little bit here in downtown these days, especially with the 65 shutdown. Not too fun, but yeah, that may have very well been a quick spin up tornado. Seeing a 2x4, what looked like a 2x4, I should say, piercing through a roof is not something straight line winds often do. You typically see things kind of leaning one direction. Tornadoes can pick things up. They can loft them. There's a convergent, kind of pattern that happens with those things, and it can loft objects and make them into missiles, essentially. And seeing that photo was very sobering just now. And that, I think, told us basically what we need to know about this, but we'll see how widespread all that damage is once the storm tracker gets there.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time. It's going to take the storm tracker probably another 10, 15 minutes just to get over there. But we'll check back in. So we're watching the storms. We have been watching them. Tough part is we didn't see a tornado on that. We saw a little couplet. We saw some strong winds, but boy, that if it touched down, it was very isolated up and down.
Fast.
And we've heard no reports of it, which would have been daylight. It was before 9 o'clock.
Sure.
So normally even then we would have seen by now reports coming in saying, well, we saw the funnel. We there's all kinds of pictures, hugely populated area.
It is.
So it makes you wonder, was it really a tornado that did it? I don't have the answer. We'll have to go back and look. I think it was just before 9, like 8:56
something like that
was the time that they estimated. That's why I really want to hear from the emergency manager, because I think they had folks out and they certainly have seen the damage, and it would be good to know what other damage there is. But you're right. Typically, you wouldn't see straight line winds or any kind of just wind gusts do that kind of damage unless it flipped something up.
Which is possible.
Maybe that was just something that flipped up.
Perhaps.
So wind got under it. It tore the wood off of the joist and
Let's hope so.
up. Maybe that was what happened, but it would be very odd.
That's
to
weird.
have had a tornado and us not have heard from anybody in that populated area that was like, we saw it.
Yeah, unless they weren't watching our live stream, I guess. I don't know. That's a good question.
Well,
or to hear anybody else.
Normally people would have,
you would have had more reports on social, something like that. So,
Haley's saying winds picking up in Saluda where there is a warning. And that is true, but that warning has just expired over the Saluda area. So winds calming should be, and we've noted that on the velocity too. However, there is a flash flood warning for that same area. The only warning that we have in our viewing area, the one in Washington, Northeast Nelson, will be allowed to expire. We also have a water rescue now going on. Let's see where this one's for. This is going to be over Rainforth Road, just south of Sulphur, Indiana. Road's totally impassable, even for a fire truck.
Oh, good.
They're awaiting a rescue boat to get the person.
Gosh, those water rescues are sad. That's never good. We want to make sure folks are safe this evening. It's dark. Sun has set. don't drive through floodwaters. Don't go exploring for floodwaters. We've got paid first responders that, they need to rescue folks that are caught off guard. They don't need to be also rescuing folks who are being looky-loos this evening. It's not the time nor the place. So stay away from the floodwaters if you happen to be in one of those affected areas. Obviously, Indiana has been affected more so than anywhere tonight, from Du Bois County over to Crawford to Harrison to Floyd to Clark. Those areas have been really hit hard with inches of rain this evening. We had a saturated soil going into this because we've had multiple rounds of rain in the not too distant past already. I didn't have to water my garden this morning because there's been so much rain lately. So you don't have to have much additional rain to get flash flooding in this instance. I think we went into this with our flash flood guidance values that were pretty low, meaning that you would only need, half inch of rain to get you flash flooding out of the setup in a short time. And indeed, that's likely what's happening there. See the NWS in Wilmington, Ohio there, continuing that warning for Carroll, Gallatin, Owen counties until 10:15. They, just kind of redrew part of it. They took Carrollton out of it, which was smart. And they are going to continue to have the eastern part of Carroll County in that warning here for about another, I think that's a half hour. So that's till 10:15. They may trim it once more and take Carroll out of it in about 15 minutes is my guess here, the way things are trending.
Yeah, and then you can even see by the velocity, it's sort of flattened out quite a bit. So,
and we're kind of far from the Louisville radar site there too, so harder to see anything happening in the lower levels once you get up to eastern Carroll County. That's kind of the very edge of our viewing area, so kind of far out that it's under a different National Weather Service office's domain out of Wilmington, Ohio, that serves the Cincinnati and southern Ohio and north central or northern Kentucky area up there, up toward Covington, etc. Let's see. Mighty Fine Wine on YouTube says, no need to go out and be a looky-loo when social media exists. Looky-loo safely from your home. Yes, absolutely. And we'll have the storm tracker there shortly, too. Ryan or Kevin, how will the 4 or 5 days of sunlight, 90-degree temperatures fare for us drought conditions with all of this rain? Yeah, we'll likely see some drying of the soils. Obviously, tonight we're getting a good rain. We may get more rain late tonight. We may get a little bit more rain in some spots Sunday morning. That'll all help. But once we start to shut down the widespread rains, then the clock will start to run on that. And we'll see how much rain or how much drought, I should say, will expand before we get back into a slightly stormier pattern with a bit more potential for some more rainfall. But you see the drought there, still in the the severe category, just east of Campbellsville and Columbia. And then once you get into Campbellsville and Columbia proper, you're kind of in just kind of the severe drought category, and then abnormally dry from Hardinsburg down toward Munfordville and E-Town. Louisville and southern Indiana, no drought. We have been waterlogged. It's quite a difference. You'll see the flood watch continues until Sunday morning. I think that's at 2 a.m., especially for our southern counties. That'll continue the longest there. So there's the current radar view. And you can see that those warnings exiting our area as the storms and that little spinning MCV that's moving through Indiana continues to exit its way.
We're also hearing of water rescues over in the Leavenworth, Indiana area.
Oh, gosh.
So,
okay.
That's, a couple of these folks driving into the high water happens. We see it often at night because you can't tell. Oh, you think, it's not that high. I'll get in until you're in it. And then it's like, oh, shoot, this is a problem. So that's what we have going on. The storm tracker, again, making its way over I-65. It's on its way to that area where there's been storm damage. Why it occurred, still to be determined. But we do know we have some damage in parts of Clark County, Indiana. Several homes have been damaged, in fact.
And that's the Harmony Woods area of Memphis, Indiana, that we're traveling up through now. Probably getting ready to hit the Stanzifer Avenue exit here pretty shortly. Jeffersonville, Clarksville on 65. So it shouldn't take too much longer. We're at least on the right side of the river now and heading in that direction. So we'll get midway through Clark County here pretty shortly.
We're almost warning free. And as this happens, we will continue to see the warnings diminish as the night goes on. So Weather Service is saying they would even like to expire and cancel the one warning for Anderson, Mercer, Woodford, and that storm that's approaching the Lexington area, it's weakened enough where they're like, well, we're going to give it a few more scans, and then maybe we'll be able to take that off. And then, of course, the one over Carroll County is just about out of Carroll County, so that would take it out of our viewing area as it pushes over into Gallatin and northern Owen County. So we're just about in the clear in terms of severe threats, but where we're not in the clear will be where we have flooding, and that's ongoing.
Yeah.
More rain moving through, not only that you see on the radar, but later on tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, there's another impulse that'll move through between about 2 and 7 a.m. tomorrow. That's concerning for additional flooding, given what we've seen already. There will be a little bit of a break in between that'll help hopefully soak things into the soils a bit more, get the water levels in the creeks down a few inches before we encounter that once again. Sulphur Springs, Crawford County, Indiana, we were just talking about that. There's the emergency management reporting the active water rescue, Rainforth Road along the Stinking Fork, just south of the town of Sulphur, obviously there in Crawford County, Indiana. So our thoughts are with folks out there, first responders, and like they're trying to get through the flooding this evening, make sure that lives and property are as safe as can be.
We're keeping an eye on the radar. We've been with you since 8 o'clock tonight, so we're going on almost 2 hours here where we were talking about, first of all, severe threats. We were watching these pockets of wind here or there. A couple warnings had already been issued during the 7 o'clock hour when you were on the news, and then we said, well, we could still see a couple rogue warnings, but the biggest threat would be flooding. And then something has happened. We're not sure because, frankly, we can't tell. I mean, even on the radar, we were watching it. We picked up the wind speed southwest Jefferson County near Valley Station, and we said, well, this is a pocket of wind here. And I think it was the same one that probably moved up and hit Clark County, but it didn't look tornadic.
No, little MCV or bookend vortex kind of embedded with all of this, but it was super weak sauce. We didn't think it was a huge deal. Obviously, the Weather Service didn't either. There was no warning out for Clark County whenever whatever happened occurred here near the Memphis area. So I'll be very curious to see kind of the post-mortem on this, to see not only what happened, but kind of the radar signatures and, seeing the timing of that and just kind of learning from it. There's always a learning experience with these really small, tough to pick out experiences like this that can happen from time to time. They're never very strong, which is good. You're not going to have an unwarned EF2 tornado. That just does not happen. But you can sometimes get these little whirligigs that pop up sometimes. We don't even know if that's what this is, by the way. Could have been a microburst, could have been something different. So we'll see what the source of that was. And very shortly, we'll have the storm tracker being able to see what the damage looks like. And that's going to be the most critical part, for the surveyors at the National Weather Service office in Louisville. It is patently obvious at this point. They're going to be doing a survey of this. They may have folks on the way. We don't know. But obviously, something has occurred up there, and they'll have to do a full formal survey probably once the sun rises tomorrow morning. They'll get some folks out there who might be on staff and see what the heck happened. It'd be interesting to see, how long this was on the ground. Obviously, it happened around like 8:56 p.m., whatever it was, microburst, tornado, not quite sure. But we'll have eyes on this shortly. The storm tracker, I'll show you kind of live where it is right now. It is still on I-65, making its way through central Clark County. They'll be getting off the interstate at the Memphis exit here very, very shortly. It's not going to take too much time to get there. A little cell service cut out, but it's back now. You can see that, it's still raining pretty good in Clark County. So the problem with this kind of storm damage is you've got first responders, emergency management on the scene of this, these homes that are damaged in the Harmony Springs neighborhood here. And they are, not only trying to photograph and document the damage and see, what these folks need in terms of services, but they're also dealing with the rain that's trying to come into these homes, into the attics of the homes that have been damaged. We have seen at least one photo of roof decking that has been peeled off with the shingles away from a home there. What looks to be potentially a 2x4 that may have pierced a roof, which is always like the worst thing to see, because that's when something got picked up and lofted as a missile. That's never good. Hopefully there's a more logical and less aggressive explanation for that. Let's hope so for the folks up there in the Memphis, Indiana area, that's indeed, what may have happened. But it'll be fascinating to see nonetheless. You can see a whole lot of folks aren't out this time of night. It's about 10 p.m. on a Friday night. Friday nights can be busy, but, we're in the middle of getting to be more suburban Clark County here. Not as many folks on the roads. Looks like we're expiring severe thunderstorm warnings early. We're not seeing a whole lot of those warnings still on the map at this time. And it looks like all of them are gone from my view here. Yeah, so we have zero, count them, zero severe thunderstorm warnings now ongoing in our area. What we do have ongoing, as you see wavy talking about the bottom of your screen here, is life-threatening flash flooding. That means we have a flash flood warning with an observed tag on it, meaning that flash flooding is occurring. That's the problem with these storms, is we've had flash flooding. At times, we've had vehicle rescues. We've had water approaching homes near Borden earlier this evening. And that's going to be the number one thing that probably affects more people than anything with these storms, is the flooding. And we could see the potential for some additional flooding overnight tonight. We'll need to watch for that, especially in that cluster of storms that'll likely move through sometime after 2 a.m. if that does indeed develop. Kind of looking out to our west on my particular radar view at this time and not seeing a whole lot there. We'll get at least a little bit of a break here coming up shortly. In fact, Breckenridge, Du Bois, Perry, Crawford, Orange, Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings, you guys are all seeing a break from the rain right now already. And that break in the rain will shift eastward into our counties here pretty shortly. See, of course, the storm tracker again on the right side of your screen there in the center lane of I-65 northbound in central Clark County right now, continuing to move toward the damage that we had where Kevin is zoomed in on.
Well, and where the storm tracker is going is to Nature's View, which is over in the Harmony Woods area. That sits just north of Memphis. That's this area here.
There you go. Yeah.
And that is just off to the east of I-65 and right along 31W. When you look at the velocity from earlier, and I've scaled this back to 816, so I'm going to take that off.
And I'll put this full screen so you can see it here if you need to.
All right. And then I'm just going to scrub this because they said as we approached 8:56.
Yeah.
So here we're getting close. Boom.
46.
And you see a little bit of a push, but it's still.
That's hard.
It's very tough. I mean, it is just not the signature we would normally see for a tornado.
Right there.
Right there.
That.
Right at 9 o'clock.
That would have been the closest thing to something that I've seen.
But again, when you query that, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to see.
And that's why, guys, they didn't have a warning for this. I mean, what was there to see? Our eyes are not
so it'll
seeing
still be interesting to see what the damage actually looks like.
I'd be
You're
curious.
seeing the images coming out. This is 1 mile north of Memphis. So that's exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Emergency manager reported that thunderstorm wind damage. Estimated time was radar. Reports of objects impaling the roof of a home.
Yeah.
I mean,
another report of roof damage from a separate home.
so boy, that's super tough to pick out.
We're
on
almost
the
talking
radar at
like
the time.
either sub-pixel or between radar scans that
Yeah.
something may have happened
Could
here.
have been
And that
between a radar scan.
that does happen. And that stinks, but it does happen. Harmony Woods Drive, of course, you see there on the storm report from Wavy, partially peeling off that roof, exposing the attic space. Again, for those homeowners, this is not a fun night. You've got water coming into your attic.
Yeah, you didn't have any warning.
Yeah.
So we
You had no
apologize
warning.
for that
Yeah.
outside of
I mean,
what we were tracking, which
yeah.
was, hey, there's a pocket of wind. But, had it been a tornado, we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have been able to tell.
Because the question that we all asked, we asked it, National Weather Service asked it of the emergency manager in Clark County was, when you say homes damaged, do you mean by flooding or do you mean by storm? And when he said storm, we were all like, what the heck? So this totally caught everybody off guard. And there is just not much you can do about it in 2026, unfortunately, when you got either a sub-pixel or a between radar scans sort of thing going on. We're at the limits of technology. But again, if this were a tornado, we don't know that. We just don't have that confirmation. It would have been very fast. And the fact that it even hit, structures is honestly kind of amazing because there's a lot of rural areas that surround this. So it'd have to pick a needle in the haystack to hit a neighborhood like that. And boy, oh boy, that's just not fun. Kevin's looking right now at the correlation coefficient from that time to see if there was any debris that may have been dropped on there. Crispy Brisket asking that question, and I'm glad you did, because we need to look at that.
Yeah, I didn't see
I
any
don't.
earlier when we saw it.
Negative.
It would have been right around this time.
And if it were so weak too that it didn't loft anything to a height where the radar beam would be able to intercept it, you would never see anything. Because this may be a situation where the debris, got peeled off and then was quickly deposited before it got inhaled into the updraft of the storm. And if that's the case, then this would be a very, very weak sort of tornado if it were one. We don't know that yet.
Yeah, I'm still curious. I
Like,
mean,
what the heck was it?
nothing really makes sense.
Yeah.
I really need to see the damage.
Amen.
This is why we say we have to survey the damage to determine the strength of the tornado.
Yes.
In this instance, we have to survey the damage to see if it even was a tornado.
Right.
We don't have a clue
We just
based
don't
on
know.
the data that we have in front of us.
It's frankly bizarre. That particular part of the storm complex moving through would not shock me if there was some rotation in there, just because it was a little bit of an MCV, bookend vortex, yada, yada. But the velocity presentation was so nothing that it's strange, to say the least. But stranger things have happened. We've seen that before. So we'll have an answer, at least on what the damage looks like, coming pretty soon here.
Yeah, threat of severe weather ending for our viewing area over. We do have rain, and that's for tonight. Tomorrow brings a whole other set of circumstances where we could have a few strong storms that develop, but that's something that we'll just have to watch and sort of be a game day decision on how those develop in the afternoon. But we could have a few strong storms. We're still going to see waves of rain move in overnight. We've got another one early tomorrow morning, and then probably those scattered storms in the afternoon that will develop with the heating of the day. And it's that time period that could be the strongest out of all of those. The storm tracker making its way off of the interstate. It's not going to take long to go about 1 mile north of Memphis, so we should start to see. We'll just track this with the storm tracker as we roll through the Memphis area. And as this makes its way just north of Memphis, we should see some police lights and damage. Yeah,
that's typically what you see when you roll up on one of these situations like this, especially because we know the emergency manager is on scene. Likely insurance adjusters are going to be there, roofers, etc. Thankfully, it doesn't look like, more than just roof damage that we've seen in the two photos, but that's all we've seen is two photos. We don't know if there's additional damage.
Yeah, no widespread power outages. Clearly, we're a mile away and we've got power there.
And you haven't seen wavy at the bottom of the screen with, big power outages in Clark County. So whatever happened was
Megan says she has friends living there and they say they solved it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So interesting.
Wow. All right.
I mean, that had to happen so quick.
If you have like Ring doorbell camera footage, if you were like in the area and you see anything, go review that. If you live up there in Harmony Springs, Harmony Woods, right there north of Memphis, Indiana, go back through your Ring doorbell or camera footage, see if you've got anything. If you do, you can email that to our newsroom. You can email that to us. You can send it to us on social media, whatever, and just get it to us. We'd like to see that. It might be helpful for the National Weather Service in their survey.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the radar imagery and the velocity imagery is not going to help out a whole lot from what view we have of it anyway.
And perhaps maybe the terminal Doppler may have seen something, but that's still a little bit far from Mount Washington. You have to cross the river and go up a bit. So my guess is it wouldn't have seen it either. It was such a low level, such a quick, such a small, isolated situation here. Now you see the storm tracker, kind of getting into the weeds, getting north of Memphis here. So we should be getting close to the neighborhood pretty quickly, I would assume.
Yeah, I would think we'd start seeing some emergency lights just outside of the neighborhood where it was impacted. And I think, I can't tell if that's a sign.
That may be a lit sign. Yeah, that's a sign in front of a business there. That's hard to see at night. It's one night, two, it's raining a bit. You got smudges on the windshield. Always makes it tough to be able to see some of this footage here. But this is, again, live, our storm tracker in Memphis, Indiana, going right to the Harmony Springs neighborhood to investigate the damage that occurred there.
We'll check this out, and then we'll get back now that the threat of severe weather is over. And then we've got some updates to make.
Okay, Katie's in the neighborhood next door. She says she was doing dishes. It sounded like a train, things hitting the windows, and then it was over as soon as it started. We had a branch down. That's all we can see. Dang. Okay. So that's our second report of something going on up there from folks who are on the ground. Thank you, Katie. Really appreciate that. Again, if you have doorbell or security camera footage that you might have, send it our way if you see anything interesting there.
All right, turning in. You can see it looks like something down there.
I don't know what that was.
I don't either.
Oh, I see emergency lights on the left. Maybe a police cruiser up here on the right. I think so. Oh, here we go. Oh, goodness. Let's see what we have.
Oh, you haven't heard of any injuries, which is always
That's
the
good.
goal and
That's
the
good.
good news, especially when
Yep.
these things pop up with sort of
Good
unannounced
grief. Yeah.
and very little warning. So it looks like some fire personnel.
Yeah, we're obviously in the right spot here. Obviously, it's hard to see. It's at night. Thankfully, our storm tracker is equipped with a 360-degree camera. We've got a photographer there with a TV camera too, with nice zoom and good low light capabilities. So we'll be able to show you in a bit more detail once we kind of get set up and rolling here in the Memphis, Indiana area.
I'm just rolling through to see if I see if Ian has another camera that's
because
available.
he can. So our storm tracker, by the way, has a port in the side of it. We can plug in a TV camera into it and be able to show you more. Well, that's baseball. We can show you what a separate camera that's positioned on a tripod or handheld or whatnot is showing. And sometimes we can also stream a second view through to our additional virtual video inputs here as well.
Yeah, and he's got his own backpack with him, so
Yeah,
he
that's
should
good.
be able to feed that
Excellent,
as soon as he gets
excellent.
ready to go. We should see
Yeah,
that.
looks like there's an emergency vehicle coming toward us right now on the left side there. Is that a fire truck?
Looks like a fire truck.
Man, these guys are lights and everything. So continue the flood watch there. Okay. Well, we've obviously
All
hit the right
we're
spot. We're
rolling
we're
around.
rolling.
Let's see what we see.
Oh, goodness. That's a lot of emergency vehicles here. I see debris on the right.
Tough to tell.
Maybe. Something was near the sidewalk on the right. Or just folks in orange vests out. Well, whatever happened just behind us here, it looks
he's
like.
gonna park.
Yeah, good place to park there, get a better vantage point, hopefully.
You see something what looks very bright on the house to the right-hand side there.
Yeah, I'm not sure
But I
what
don't
that
know if
is.
that's
That may just be a
A
floodlight.
normal light, or if
Hard to
something
say.
happened there.
Trying to read the back of that person's jacket. Hard to. See what we've got cooking here.
Well, you're all watching this in real time, just like we are. We sent the storm tracker there. What you've seen is an exercise in severe weather,
Oh, wow.
where we knew it was, excuse me, possible today, but the threat was very low, especially once we crossed over that, 8 o'clock time frame. Things were really sort of winding down. Storm moved into the metro. We saw the uptick of wind. Southwest Jefferson County moved right up through central parts. They put the thunderstorm warning out for Jefferson, carried it over into Clark, but there was no tornado warning. But did we see a tornado? That's what we're waiting to see. We're curious to see what that damage looks like and the potential that a tornado may have touched down. I mean, if you've got 2x4s being impaled into a roof, that tells you a lot.
Okay, something I can see, that bright light there. There's people on
Let's
a
take a
ladder. There are people on a ladder up there on that roof. Well, street flooding in Louisville there. Vehicle stranded, it says. But you can see two individuals on the roof up there with a ladder.
Probably trying to get it tarped up before more
I'm
rain
assuming,
moves
yeah.
in.
Looks like there may be a resident there on the left. Can you imagine living in this neighborhood this evening and your neighborhood has turned into an absolute circus because of this? I'm sure with the emergency vehicles and media and everybody else here trying to figure out what the heck happened. And then tomorrow there will likely be a survey from the National Weather Service. Those folks will be out there, a little less impact, thankfully. It's usually just, a couple folks, phone, pictures, etc. But yeah, they'll have to survey it pretty quickly there because those repairs may not take too long to happen. just some roof decking, get that repaired back on, get the shingles back on. If there's any sort of structural damage to the roof, that would take a lot longer. Be curious to see indeed what level of damage that we had there. You can see a little bit better now with that vehicle kind of not in the way anymore. If it's, the light's kind of at the camera, those folks there on the roof with the ladder, maybe a work truck there in that driveway. Someone may have been able to call a buddy who works for a roofing company or something like that, get a nice, decent ladder, safely put a tarp on that, survey a little bit of damage, see what kind of situation you have, because these folks got to go to bed tonight at some point. It's 10 o'clock in the evening here. It'd be nice to get a tarp on the roof and call a roofing company first thing tomorrow morning and see if they can get some service there. And of course, their insurance too, to get things adjusted. And of course, figure out who's going to pay for all this, how it's going to get paid for, et cetera, et cetera. You see some material there. Looks like a plywood sheet has come out of that truck. So obviously they're trying to put some plywood on that. That's what that looks like to me. This person with a flashlight on the left. I'm just describing things as I see them here because I've got a slightly bigger display than you do. For you folks, you viewers at home who are seeing this live damage assessment taking place. Looks like Ian is up on Ram 1, he says. So we'll be able to potentially see his shot here in just a second from a separate camera, most likely.
Well, we're just watching over southern Indiana. This is just north of Memphis, Indiana, right along 31W. And we've had what appears to have been storm damage, whether that was winds or a possible tornado, which we've not been able to even confirm by radar. But the damage that we saw pictures of certainly looked that way from the emergency manager, where we saw some 2x4s that looked to be impaled into a roof. We're now seeing people repairing roofs, but what caused that damage is still the question.
Yeah, and our photographer Ian is up there. He's got a camera. He's trying to get set up. We can see his shot. So once he gets eyes on something that's not going to make you motion sick because he's trying to get it all set up, we'll put that on here.
Suppose he's trying to get his rain gear on.
Yeah, might get the rain gear on, may have a tripod if he's trying to get that together. But we should see a better vantage point from a pedestrian view here in just seconds, most likely, the way he's got things trending.
We'll stick with it for a few minutes so you all can see what that looks like. And then we'll wrap up our coverage on here as we prepare for the news at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Again, you see some folks out, they're standing in the rain, which the rain is gradually going to be coming to an end, but it is still raining in southern Indiana across most of the viewing area, especially in Clark County. And this is the area of most concern because it was hardest hit with wind. Now, flash flooding continues to go on, and you see that continues with a flash flood warning, Wavy pushing that out for Clark, Floyd, Jefferson, Scott, all in Indiana. And that will go until 12:15. So we have had water rescues across the region. We've had high water where roads have been shut down in some places, and the rain continues to fall.
Yeah, and that flooding at night is especially dangerous. That's what we're super concerned about here. Looks like the shot is up. I'll take that here. You can see kind of on the right-hand side of your screen a truck. I think he's getting the iris adjusted so that we can get some low-light photography here. Looks like we're warming up just a little bit here. Hopefully we can get some light on things, but I might go back to the other shot. Thought that was going to not take so long.
Those cameras have a real tough time with low light.
It's tough, yeah.
So it's just tough to see anything.
Back to router 2. Okay, there we go. So we'll continue to monitor his, just off camera here, what he's seeing. He's also, messaging us here in our chat. So if he sees anything substantial, I'm sure he'll message with that as well here in just a moment. But yeah, emergency lights continue. Folks out and about there in the neighborhood. Our photographer now looks to be walking, which is good. So probably walking to get closer to the damage. And hopefully we'll have a shot of something at least here coming up in just a few moments' time. He'll be able to get. Still nothing to see just yet from his shot that wouldn't make you motion sick.
Are you getting you get motion sick?
I do get, yeah.
Don't quit looking at it.
Adrenaline. Okay. We're going to take his shot here.
You're going to see the people up on the roof here where they are.
Wrong one. Ram
repairing the roof above the garage, and hopefully that's. I'm sure it probably got in the house too, because that's the way water works.
Yeah, so those are those plywood sheets that they're nailing in. You can see the gentleman there with the hammer. He's got he's got a light on his head there, one of those lights that you strap onto your forehead.
And they've got a nice bright light shining up there, trying to help out. And roofing is tough anytime, but it's even more tough during the night, and especially when it's raining.
Yeah. Let's see. He's got another vantage point here. You can see some of those folks walking on the left. Some emergency lights out there too. Hard to tell exactly what we're looking at. You might have to adjust the iris on that. You might be on a tripod, the way things are looking. He's carrying a tripod around, it looks like. We'll go back to the storm tracker view here. There we go. While he's trying to get his next shot.
That was the roof, the one you see the lights up forward,
right?
That Ian was looking at. So I'm not sure if that was the only home. Seemed like we probably saw a few more areas that were damaged even as we drove into the neighborhood. So likely there would have been more. Now we've got a crash on 65 South.
That's right at the interchange of the Snyder in Jefferson County. I've got Ian's handheld camera shot up again here. Tough to see anything. Goodness. But you can see a little bit better shot of the street there as he walks along.
Yeah, we'll just keep it up a second.
Yeah.
If you get motion sickness, just know that the camera's going to bounce for a minute as he walks. We're over in Clark County. This is north of Memphis by about 1 mile. It's an area called
Harmony Springs.
Harmony Springs.
Yeah.
And it's a neighborhood that sits just off of I-65 and 31W. It appears as though wind damage has taken place there in a number of structures. What caused it, still unknown. But some reports of a tornado have come in from neighbors in the viewing area.
Yeah.
You see some of the fire personnel there. Yeah, Harmony Woods. Sorry, appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Loyal for sending that.
That's my bad.
He's going to wipe his lens off here. The rain is never a friend to electronics, including cameras.
Somebody's asking why our voices are scratchy. Well, we've been broadcasting here for about 2 hours.
I didn't realize mine was scratchy.
Yeah, I guess it's not bad.
Yeah.
My voice is certainly scratchy. Sorry about that. Those emergency vehicles there.
Yeah, a lot of fire, probably emergency management. I know Gavin's over there. I can't tell what that is.
I'm not sure. I've never seen a vehicle like that before.
It looks like a garbage truck in a way.
It kind of does, yeah. With really nice LED lights, like sick LED lights on that thing. So what Ian's doing is just getting, these shots, these static shots of the emergency vehicles, kind of the street. And the reason he's doing that is because they're wanting to put together a piece for tonight's 11 o'clock news at sunrise and thereafter. And, you need different shots to kind of put that together in sequence. You can see it looks like a fire department official there. There you can see the back of the storm tracker as well. Some folks are out talking. Looks like different emergency first responders on the scene there, police, fire, EMS, etc. Looks like Ian's going to go get another shot. So we've already seen, a number of folks out there this evening. We've seen people fixing the roof with plywood sheets. We've seen, first responders out there this evening kind of milling about, seeing what they can see. And then, we've obviously seen some residents too walking around. You see the street name there, Nature's View. That intersection there, taking that shot. Again, just lots of like photography shots, if you will, here, just so that he can put together the TV news piece that will air likely a little later tonight, just kind of showing what the area looked like. Scene setters, if you will, that we typically do here in the TV news business. But we will, of course, see what he sees as he's seeing it here.
I asked my I was going to say my photographer was our photographer.
Our photographer, yes.
If there was any sound that may be helpful from fire officials or even residents there. So we'll see if he talks to anybody. We'll keep this going for about another 5-10 minutes here, and then we'll wrap this up. But we are over in Clark County. They've canceled the flash flood warning for
That's
Crawford
good.
and Perry. So some good news there. That rain is starting to come to an end back out to the west of us.
Yeah, and so that's always good news when you start to see warnings getting canceled like that, especially given the flooding that we've witnessed this evening in parts of southern Indiana. That's been the most hard hit place for all the water that's fallen tonight. And they've issued a flood warning in its place, which is kind of a lower level. Flash flood warnings like urgent, but a flood warning is like, hey, we've got creeks and streams that are overflowing. It's not going to get much worse, but we just want folks to know, stay away from creeks and streams, et cetera, et cetera. Any sort of high water can be obviously an issue. These chairs are super uncomfortable, by the way. But that's, kind of what the flood warning is, kind of a step down from the flash flood warning.
Just give you a quick radar view here. As we take a look at the radar, you're going to see that most areas are in the clear of any severe weather. The rain is ending to our west for now. More rain moves in overnight. Flash flood warnings continue from Du Bois County through Crawford County, Washington, Orange, Harrison, all the way up through Floyd, Clark, Scott, into Jefferson, Indiana. So that area has seen a tremendous amount of rain, but the heaviest rain is now moving out of that region, which is good news. The bad news is there is more rain in the forecast late tonight. Not severe weather, but more rain in the terms of potential strong to severe storms. No, but potential for flooding. Yes.
Indeed, it is. So flooding is going to be our number one thing that we're going to watch for heading through tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, I think the widespread rains are gone, which is good. We'll get some dry time for outdoor events, Riverview festivals going on. There's a lot of different city yard sales going on across the city, kind of the time of year for that. So if you've got any plans, just consult the Wave weather app here, because that's going to be your number one resource for finding out where the rain is and isn't tomorrow. We could have a string of downpours that stretches somewhere near and especially just north of I-64 tomorrow afternoon, but it wouldn't be everybody that sees that rainfall activity. So hopefully we can dry things out for a bit.
Sean says good night. He's going to bed, and I would say that's a good deal. A lot of folks get some rest tonight. This isn't one of those all-nighters.
No, thank goodness. Yeah, on a Friday night, no less. We've done Sunday nights, we've done Wednesday nights. Here we are on a Friday night, and thankfully we're not going to go much past 10:25 here.
Yeah, we're going to wrap this up. I thought maybe we'd find somebody to talk to here, and if that's the case, in the next couple minutes, we'll listen in. Otherwise, we'll let Ian do his work, and then we'll see everybody at 11 o'clock. Again, we're over in Clark County. Something's happened there. I say something because we don't know if it was just wind or a tornado. Some folks say it was a tornado. It would have been super brief, super small, but enough to do some damage.
Yeah.
Could have been that based on the damage we've seen, and certainly the reports that we've heard.
Yeah, and those reports, obviously someone said they saw the tornado. There was a woman here in the chat earlier this evening doing her dishes, and a sudden gust of wind happened. Same area there. 5 inches of rain since last night in Floyd County. Thanks, Devin. And then flooding in English. Everyone be safe from Shonda. Appreciate you, Shonda, out there in English, Indiana. Crawford County reporting in.
Yeah, we've got a lot of folks chiming in. We appreciate that. Hey, if you're still on the stream, and we've got a lot of folks in fact, there are thousands in. And a lot of you are watching on the apps. So the news app and the weather app, you won't be able to chime in. But those of you who are still on watching via, Twitter, maybe or X, I guess it's called.
Yeah,
Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. Just type in your county. Let us know where you are. I'm just curious where everybody's at.
We'd like to know.
So county and state, because we have duplicates.
Oh, yeah, because 2 Washingtons, 2 Jeffersons, that happens. So,
Marcia's saying, it hit my daughter's subdivision. So
that would be here. Absolutely. Yes, that makes sense. Yikes. If you know anybody, or if you yourself have firsthand knowledge of any of the damage, the level of damage, what has happened, please let us know. We'd like to know.
Yeah, we for sure would. Who will be working on the first alert weather tomorrow? That's Carson.
That is Carson.
Carson's here early tomorrow.
Yeah.
So here, I asked where you were. We'll go through some of these. Clark County, Indiana. There's Louisville, Jeffersonville, Houston, Houston. How about that? Coming in from
Houston, Texas. Can you believe
like
it?
that.
Yes.
There's my friend Laura from
Floyd.
County. And yes, got lots of damage. Harmony Woods. That was where Marsha's daughter was.
Okay.
We've got Crispy Brisket in Jefferson, Kentucky. There's Haley saying, hey, that was my dad helping people with the roof.
Oh, my golly. You never know who you're going to run into here in the chat. This is such a small world.
Well, thank goodness that we've got people like her dad that are willing to get up on the roof.
Oh, looks like we may be talking to someone.
Let's
here.
listen in.
Router one.
You don't have to.
We don't know what we're going to hear
You don't
here.
have to really say anything. I'll just ask you questions.
He's going to ask him some questions and just to say, hey, here's what's happened, and we'll just see. I'm not sure if this is a resident, someone that was working. Obviously, he's been in the rain, so
He'll introduce himself.
Been working.
Yeah. Part of doing TV news interviews is you have the person introduce themselves, spell their name, so we'll likely find out who this is.
You're watching this live just like we are.
Me, not the camera. We're just gonna have a
Ian's just giving him a little instruction
so
like,
first,
hey.
can I just get your first name and your last name and how you spell it? And you're with the tree service, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
My name is Christopher Barry, Christopher, Bary, with Barry Excavating and Tree Service, based here in Memphis, Indiana.
Okay. So tell me what what brought you out here, and then what did you see when you got out here to this neighborhood?
Sure. So basically, I was on social media, on Facebook in particular, noticed that people were discussing a possible tornado came through Harmony Woods neighborhood here. Being in the tree business and having the equipment necessary to help others out, I wanted to come by, living here, being a neighbor, wanted to come try to see if I could help others out. So got here and, police on the scene, emergency management, people here, fire department, EMS, everybody here, and just debris, kind of scattered. We got fences down. We've got trees knocked over, bushes pulled out of the ground. Definitely, I would say a funnel definitely came through here. One house in particular, spoke with a gentleman named Ron. He told me he had a tree in his backyard and now it's completely gone, just disappeared. Went to the next street over and met with a gentleman named Josh, and he has a tree in his front yard that was not there before. And we're best we can draw. The conclusion is that was Ron's tree.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, thankfully, it doesn't seem like anything super major, super catastrophic happened. No injuries. But what's it just like coming out here and seeing stuff like that? A tree uprooted and moved to another yard. Especially you owning a tree service.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty surreal to me, to be honest with you, that the power is just that strong that it can do something like that. And this tree was only 35 feet tall. Could have been a lot worse. Luckily, everybody's pretty safe. I think nobody's hurt, nobody's injured. We just got some roofs tore up and landscaping tore up.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just want everybody to be safe, and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, man.
We appreciate Brent for jumping in. You've been watching that coverage from Southern Indiana.
Yeah, Southern Indiana, the Harmony Woods subdivision there. Of course, you see the live video that's coming in from our photographer, Ian, and the Wave Storm Tracker. He's able to do a live interview. That gentleman, of course, part of a tree service, and talking about how a tree went from one person's yard to the next. So something got lifted, the tree got lifted and obviously deposited somewhere else. That is obviously problematic. And that is, we're not sure exactly what caused that yet, tornado or otherwise. He said he believes it may have been, but we'll see what the National Weather Service says.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to say, probably was.
Yeah, based on that level of damage that he described there, roofs, landscaping, a tree that transited.
Homes.
That's a problem. Yes.
We asked, as we were talking before Ian was talking to Brent, what sort of area you were from, what county, what state. So I'll pop a few of these in before we say goodbye here. Oldham County coming in from Joe Lynn. Thank you. Hardin County checking in. We've got a number of folks from both sides of the river. Washington County, hello. Scott County, Indiana. Clark County, Indiana. We've got Harrison County, Indiana, where there is flooding going on. We've got another one from down in Hardin County. and sorry, I won't say all the names because some of these have like screen names. There's Floyd County, but leaving for Disney at 3 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Wonderful world of Mickey Mouse.
Right. So you've got a 13-hour drive. Good luck. Been there, done that. Starting at 3 a.m., bright and early.
Oh, man.
Or late, depending on how you look at it.
Right. Floyd, Radcliffe. Sean is over in Clark, of course. We've got Amanda also in Clark. Michelle coming in from Harrison County. What about E-Town? Tammy says, hello. I'm from E-Town. And Tammy, we say hello to you. Covington, Kentucky, not far from the Cincinnati area. We've got Orange County. Cheryl checking in. Scott County. Several from Scott County.
Austin area there from Lily earlier.
Yeah, and so a lot of folks lifting a whole tree, crazy. And I think Heidi's saying that was Brent Lewis doing the talking there. Bardstown, down closer to my family, down in Nelson County. Borden, Indiana. Scott County, Indiana. Hello, Indiana coming in. Of course, I mean, you've got the,
You guys were
weather
hit.
going on.
Yeah.
So you're like, what
You were hit more than anywhere
was
else.
going on? We've got Lexington. Oh, no, that's asking how Lexington's looking. Well, it's good. The worst is going through Lexington right now. You see it on the radar, but it's not severe. Louisville, there it is. I think I got through them all.
I think we're at the bottom of
At
the
the
comments.
bottom of the
finally.
list.
Woohoo!
All right. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye. It's 10:30. We'll be on at 11 o'clock with an update. We'll check out what that looks like for the weekend. Ian's getting back in the storm tracker and just about to head out. So we appreciate everybody jumping on. Trimble County, we see you chiming in there too. So thank you for jumping in. We've got so many folks on the stream tonight. We're here whenever there's active weather going on. Warnings, oftentimes even before the warnings come out.
Right.
So we'll say goodbye for now. Carson will be here in the morning. Expect another live stream tomorrow afternoon if there are additional storms. Please don't drive through flooded roads. Just turn around. Don't drown. I know I get tired of saying that because it still happens every time. And I think, well, people they just ignore it. But it happens all the time.
And don't walk through it either if you can help it. We've heard stories of folks getting washed away in previous flood events. Let's not do that here.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you got to, it's one thing to drive through it thinking it's not that bad. It's a whole other thing to just take a step into it. So
Yeah. Tell your kids too. That's super important for kids to know. Don't play in flood water. It's nasty.
All right. We're going to say goodbye for now. We will be back again. Each of us will be back on Monday. I'll be back tonight at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, if you need weather information, it's easy to get. You can always find 24/7 weather coverage on Wave Weather Now. It's Louisville's first 24/7 weather live stream. We're proud of our weather channel that we have. And Wavy, he makes things interesting because he's always reporting, just like you see small branches coming out of the Lexington area. You're asking about Lexington. There you have it. So quieter as the night goes on. The heaviest rain has moved past us here in Louisville. We'll bid you farewell, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.